What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another ballsing Naruto story. What if Naruto gets female Hokage pregnant? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description box to original creator of this beautiful creation. Wonder what I should get him? Maybe no that's dumb. Damn it, this is so troublesome. Shikamaru said to himself. He was never really good at shopping. But he had to today or else he might find himself sleeping alone tonight. He was looking for something to get his Naru-chan for his birthday. Hey Shika. He heard his name being called by his best friend Choji. Hey Choji. Shikamaru yelled back as his friend ran up to him. Maybe Choji can me pick something. Whatcha up to Shika? Choji asked. Shopping, Shikamaru replied to the kind of stupid question. He was standing in the middle of the market after all. For what? He asked happily. I'm trying to find something to get Naruto for his birthday. Shikamaru said, dropping his head in an exasperated way. But you know how I am at shopping. Yeah, you suck at shopping. Choji laughed. Well, I would stick around and help you, but I've gotta go see Asuma. Later Shika. Choji said, running off. Well, guess I'm on my own. Shikamaru looked at various stores through the window. None of them seemed to have anything he thought his blonde lover would like. It's almost time for me to go home. Gotta hurry and find something. Naruto was waiting for his brunette boyfriend to return. He had said that he had to go on a mission. Naruto was mad that he had gone on a mission the day before his birthday. But he quickly dismissed it because was too busy thinking about his Shika-chan. Damn it, when is he coming back? Naruto thought, cuddling up to a fox plushie Shikamaru had bought him not too long ago. Then Naruto heard the door being unlocked. He suddenly felt even more energetic than usual. I'm home, Shikamaru stated from the doorway. He suddenly found himself holding a blonde blue-eyed Naruto. Naruto leaned his head up to kiss Shikamaru on the lips. It was a chaste kiss, but it served to show that Naruto was happy that his lover was back home. You missed me, huh? Shikamaru asked, already knowing the answer to question he had just asked. You know I did. And why the hell would accept a mission right before my birthday? You make me so mad sometimes. Naruto started to scream. I told you I'd be back by dinner time and I am. So what's your problem? Shikamaru drawled. I missed you, you lazy asshole. That's what's wrong with me. Naruto yelled back. Okay, I get the message, so I can come in, and could you please stop yelling in my ear? Shikamaru felt silly. Why should I have to ask to come in my own house? Naruto realized that he was overeating about something silly and stepped aside to let his love into the house. So you think that little kiss is gonna satisfy? Shikamaru asked seductively. He walked up behind Naruto and snaked his arms around the blonde's waist. When he felt a warm body up against his, he leaned back into Shika's chest. Well, that's too bad. I'm not sure in the mood today. Naruto snickered teasingly. Well, I'm just gonna have to make you in the mood now, won't I? Shika replied. With that said, he attacked Naruto's neck. He started with small chaste kisses on the section of his neck that connected to his head. Then he slowly licked down the slender neck, causing the blonde in his arms to writhe. When he started to suck on his sensitive spot, the smaller teen couldn't help but to moan. Was all that he could utter. Well, it's not really an utter since he didn't really say anything. The blonde winced in pleasure when he felt his lover bite at his neck. The bite would leave a significant mark. Satisfied with mark that he had left, Shikamaru's hand crept into Naruto's pants. He unbuttoned them quickly and pulled on a half-erected member that belonged to Naruto. Trust me, it ain't gonna stay that way XD. Shikamaru started to guide them to couch, not letting go of his lover's member. All this had Naruto getting harder by the second. Naruto sat between Shikamaru's legs, leaning back against his chest. Again, he could feel Shika's erection poking at him through his pants. Then Shikamaru turned Naruto's head to face him. He gazed into deep blue eyes before catching his lips in a passionate kiss. He traced Naruto's bottom lip with his tongue, asking for a much-wanted entrance. The blonde soon obliged. As they continued their assault on each other's mouth, Naruto couldn't help but wonder if he was giving in too easily. But then he just decided to just go with the flow. As he continued to moan into his Shika's mouth, he found himself touching him in placing that made him want Shikamaru inside him even more. What a pervert, lol XD. Wait a second, I'm supposed to be mad at you. Naruto pulled, realizing that his lover was trying to distract him. Not to me you shouldn't, but to you I guess you should be. Shikamaru stated, confusing Naruto. What? He asked, dumbfounded. Just relax and enjoy it. Shikamaru replied, starting to kiss Naruto again. Hey, wait a minute, today's my birthday, so where my present? Naruto asked while pulling away. And it better be good, he added. This is your present. Shikamaru replied with a smirk. No, it's not, cause can this whenever I want to. Naruto spat back, getting a little irritated. I'll give it to you later, now let's finish what we started, Shika begged, inching his way down Naruto back and reaching the bottom rim of his shirt. Sometimes you're so impatient, replied as he decided to let his boyfriend continue with his ministrations. Naruto turned around all the way to face Shika fully. That's when Shikamaru decided he was tired of Naruto's shirt and quickly disposed of it, throw it across the room. Naruto didn't want to be the only one without a shirt, so he did the same to his love. Naruto leaned in closer, causing their bare chests to touch, making them both moan from the heat of each other. Shikamaru was pretty much fully aroused by now, and he was getting more restless by the second as he explored the cave that was Naruto's mouth. The same could be said for Naruto as they continued to grope each other more hungrily. Lose the pants now, Shikamaru whispered demandingly. Naruto obeyed happily. Shikamaru watched as Naruto rushed to get his pants off. Naruto managed to get pants, leaving his boxers. Boxers too? Shikamaru said with a smirk. Naruto blushed at his demand. What are you blushing for? It's not like I've never seen naked before. Shikamaru replied to Naruto's blush. I know, but it's awkward if I'm naked and you still have yours pants on. Naruto said, looking Shikamaru in the eye. Shikamaru sighed and started to unzip his pants as well. Naruto started to pull down his orange boxers as Shikamaru pulled down his pants. Shikamaru couldn't help but gaze at Naruto. Damn, he's so cute when he's naked. I mean, he cute all the time, but… Shikamaru trailed off with his thought as Naruto started to get impatient. Hello, Shika snapped out of it, Naruto said, snapping Shikamaru out of his thoughts and getting his mind back on the matter at hand. Oh, sorry love, I was thinking how good you looked in your birthday suit. Shika replied, making Naruto blushed again. With that said, Shikamaru finished undressing. Then he sat back down on the couch and pulled Naruto back onto his lap. The feel of Shikamaru's warm skin against his had Naruto going crazy. Shikamaru placed very quick kisses on Naruto's lips as he trailed his hand to his ass and rubbed vigorously. Shikamaru reached over to his abandoned pants and pulled out a tube of lube. Why he kept it in his pants I don't know, XD lol. Shikamaru captured Naruto's lips again, but this time in a more passionate kiss. Naruto's mind was full of lust because, to tell the truth, all he could think of was Shikamaru being inside him. With lips still locked with Naruto's, Shikamaru opened the tube and squeezed some of the contents onto 3 of his fingers. While his love was distracted, he slipped one finger in to relax him. Naruto noticed but didn't really pay attention, he was too caught up. Naruto moaned. With that, Shikamaru added another finger, stretching him even more. Naruto started to writhe with pleasure, but Shikamaru held him in place with his free hand. When Naruto seemed relaxed enough, he added the third and final finger. Naruto winced at the slight pain the finger had caused him. But then that was quickly forgotten as he arched his back and moaned loudly. Shikamaru had touched that special spot that makes you just want to come as soon as it is touched. Shikamaru loved touching that spot that made his blonde uncontrollably aroused. So he touched the spot a couple more times before Naruto begged him, Shika, inside. Shikamaru sounded with smirk. Then he removed his fingers. Shikamaru grabbed hold of the tube again, squeezed more into his palm and covered his member in the lube. Then he positioned his member at Naruto's entrance. All while doing this in a sitting position on the couch. How experienced lol, are you ready? Shikamaru asked caringly. Was all that came from Naruto's lips as Shikamaru picked up the pace. As Shikamaru continued to touch the spot and pound into him, Naruto soon reached his peak. He arched his back, threw back his head, moaned out his love's name and shot his load. Shikamaru soon felt the tight walls around his member get tighter. He thrust a few more times before he came deep inside Naruto as he called his name. Shikamaru exited Naruto, letting him settle in between his legs. Naruto leaned up against his lover. That was amazing, as always. Naruto said with a satisfied tone. And you were tight, as always. Shikamaru laughed when Naruto fake punched him in the stomach. You jerk, Naruto chuckled. Yeah, but you still love me. Shikamaru whispered. Why, I don't know. Naruto mocked. Shikamaru replied as he wrapped his arms around Naruto. He nuzzled into his neck. Naruto giggled for about a minute. What's so funny? Shikamaru asked. Honestly, I don't know. Naruto replied before he started to drift off to sleep. Shikamaru dismissed it, went to sleep himself. Naruto woke up to the smell of cooking. He looked over to the digital clock that was on the end table next to couch and saw that it was 9:30 p.m. He got up and winced at the pain he felt in his rear. Rubbing his ass, he walked into kitchen to find Shikamaru cooking in his boxers. For some reason he thought it looked why. He walked up behind his boyfriend and just watched, not making a sound. Finally awake, huh, Naruto? Shikamaru asked, surprising his blonde. How do you know I was awake? Naruto asked, dumbfounded. My shadow told me, he replied as he turned around to look at Naruto. It can do that? Naruto replied. Yeah, it can. Anyway, go get cleaned up, and put on some underwear at least. Shikamaru commanded as he turned back around. Naruto hugged him from behind before running off to the bathroom. Hey kid, that was some pretty hot stuff back in there, Kyuubi squealed at Naruto in his mind. I know, wasn't it though? Naruto replied to the fox deep within him. Hey, I have a gift for you since it's your birthday, Kyuubi told her kid. Really? What kind of present is it? Naruto asked in an eager voice. Oh, it's a special kind of, she said with an even bigger fox grin than Naruto's. Can I have it now? Naruto asked. You'll get it soon enough. Now wake up, I think your mate is getting worried about you. Kyuubi said, ending their conversation. Alright, K, talk to y'all later, Naruto spoke, waking up from the daydream. Naruto, why do you always space like that? Shikamaru yelled, frustrated with his lover's sudden action. Here, put them on already. Shikamaru told Naruto, handing him his boxers. Come on, it's time to eat. Shika grasped Naruto's hand, dragged him to the bedroom where he had food waiting on trays. Oh Shika-chan, thanks, Naruto squealed, glomping him to the ground. Shikamaru blushed at this sudden action and he kissed Naruto passionately for about a minute. Anything for you, he whispered, pulling away. I love you so much, Naruto whispered back. Love you too, Shikamaru replied when Naruto started to get up off of him. Wow, this food looks great, Naruto said, drooling at the sight of the beautiful delicacies before him. Yeah, well, I figured why not go all out since it's your birthday and all. Shika replied in a not so modest voice. Naruto hopped onto the bed and instantly dug into the food. Shika soon followed suit. When they finished, they set the trays beside the bed and settled under the covers. Naruto instantly snuggled up to Shika, putting his head on his chest, one leg between his two, and arms wrapped around him. As the night went on, the couple talked about various things since neither of them could really sleep. But then there was a silence. And Shika figured that Naruto had fallen asleep, so he was about to do the same. Then Naruto spoke. Hey Shika, what do you think of kids? Do you mean if like kids? Shika said, thinking that the question was stupid because if he didn't like kids he wouldn't teach. Or maybe he just likes the pay lol. No, I mean, have you ever wanted kids? Naruto rephrased his question. Oh, well yeah, I did, but not anymore. I used want a girl and a boy in that order. Shika answered Naruto's question. Why to ask this all of a sudden? Shika inquired. I was just thinking of how great it would be to have children. Naruto replied. Yeah, well, it's too bad we're males and can't have 'em, huh? He replied. Don't be so sure about that, Kyuubi said, appearing in front of both of them in a ghostly form. Kyuubi, how did you get outside of my mind? Naruto asked, dumbfounded. I'm not you, baka. I'm just projecting my spirit so that I can speak with both of you. Now listen, you remember that gift I told you about? Kyuubi asked Naruto. Yeah, so, he replied. Well, this is it. She squealed. What's it? Shikamaru asked while he frowned at her. You two are going to have children. Naruto is pregnant. No need to thank me, Kyuubi said proudly. What did you do? Naruto asked with surprise clearly plastered on his face. Shikamaru was no different. Nothing really, I just manipulated your anatomy a bit, Kyuubi replied, smiling, then continued. Well, I'll leave you guys alone for now. With that, she disappears back into Naruto's mind. Shikamaru passed out. Naruto started to shake him. Hey, woke up, don't pass out on me. Hey, and hey, you never gave me my present. Shikamaru, wake your ass up now, Naruto yelled into his lover's ear. Okay, I'm up. I just had the weirdest dream. It was your birthday and the Kyuubi came and told us that you were pregnant. Shika explained. You know, for a genius you really are an idiot. That wasn't a dream, that happened in real life. Naruto replied to Shikamaru's stupid statement. So you're saying that you really are pregnant and that you're having my baby? Shika asked. Well, that's what Kyuubi said, but I think we should go see Tsunade Ban. She'll be able to tell if Kyuubi was telling the truth or if she was just playing another one of her twisted jokes. Naruto explained, getting up and leaving the room. Hey babe, where are you going? Shika asked, getting up to follow Naruto. I'm not sleeping with you. Naruto sternly told him. Why not? Was his brilliant reply. Because as soon as we heard that I might be having your kids you fainted. And to me it seemed like you don't have kids with me. Naruto explained. What kind of logic is that? I fainted because it was a huge surprise to me. Of course I would want you to have my children. What gave you such an idiotic idea? Shika told him, grabbing him into an embrace. I don't know, I just thought you could have handled the shock a little. I mean, I'm usually the one that would faint and you're the one to be calm and collected. So that gave me the impression that you didn't want to have kids with me. Naruto explained. Did that make any sense to anyone out there? Cuz it didn't to me, lol. Oh, just be quiet and calm down. I want to have my children because you're the love of my life. Now stop being stupid and let's get back to bed. Shika demanded, kissing Naruto lightly and heading back to the bed, lying down. Yes, it's still night time. Naruto hovered over Shikamaru and straddled his legs, making room for him to lie onto of him. Shika wrapped warm arms around Naruto. In response, Naruto buried his face in his lover's chest and quickly fell asleep. Naruto woke up an already awake Shikamaru. You're already up? Naruto inquired. Yeah, well, surprisingly I didn't really sleep that well. And when I woke up I didn't to move and wake you up, so I just sat here, stared out the window at the clouds. Thanks for being considerate, Naruto said, placing a kiss on Shika's chin. Shikamaru blushed and said, yeah, well, get up so we can start the day. We have to call Tsunade-sama so we can see if all this is really true. With that said, Naruto got up and headed toward the bathroom. You comin'? Naruto asked, reaching the door of the bedroom. Ooh, was Shikamaru's brilliant reply. Whatever, Naruto said, walking out. Shikamaru was watching his lover's ass as he walked out and into the bathroom. Damn, he has such a sweet ass. Shikamaru thought, so loud that it could practically be heard outside of mind. With a smirk on his face, he followed his blonde into the bathroom. He's such a pervert, lol. Naruto turned on the water and waited until the water got warm and stepped in. If it's true, then who should tell first? I mean, it doesn't really matter because something like this is sure around Konoha fast. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts by Shikamaru scrubbing his back. What are you thinking about? Shikamaru whispered in his ear. Nothing, just thinking about who we're gonna tell first. Naruto replied. Why let the people figure it out themselves? If Tsunade-sama, she'll tell Sakura and Sakura will tell Ino and it'll be all over the village in a matter of days. Shikamaru said with kind of exasperated voice. Guess you're right, Naruto whispered softly. Then he turned around to kiss Shika on the lips. Shika wrapped his wet arms around Naruto's waist. Shikamaru didn't have to ask for an entrance as Naruto provided it without thinking. Shikamaru rushed his tongue in. Both were seriously getting hard. As Shikamaru continued his assault on Naruto's mouth, Naruto raised one of his legs and wrapped it around Shika's waist. They went on groping and kissing each other until they noticed that the water had started to get cold. They pulled away and started scrubbing again. They rinsed off with the now cold water and stepped out. They walked back to there with Shikamaru's arm around Naruto's waist. They got dressed and ate, then headed for the Hokage tower. Well, yep, you're definitely pregnant, Tsunade said with a smug look on her face. Man, how hard do you bag him, Shikamaru? Tsunade asked mockingly. Hokage-sama, Shikamaru uttered angrily, waving his fist. Naruto, not fazed at all by her comment, asked, so how did Kyuubi make it possible? Well, I'd say she added a few extra parts to your anatomy, a couple of women organs. Tsunade explained. She what? Naruto exclaimed. I figured as much, Shikamaru stated. Oh, and there are two more things you guys should know, Tsunade stated all too happily. What? Naruto grimaced. Well, for one, you two are having twins and one's a boy and the other a girl, Tsunade stated. How the heck can you know that so early? Naruto said seriously, starting to get overexcited. Not really in good a way. Well, for one, I'm Tsunade Sannin and the greatest medic nin ever. She laughed in a gloating kind of way. Naruto rolled his eye at the conceited statement. So Naruto won't be able to go on missions for a while, huh? Shikamaru asked, even though he knew the answer. Nope, but I guess I can put him on duty at the missions office or something, or maybe he can be a teacher at the academy, maybe your assistant or teacher's aide. Tsunade said with a smug smirk on her face. In response, Shikamaru just blushed and turned his head. Do what you will. Shikamaru turned all the way around. No missions now, I'm gonna be even more bored than usual. I mean, I'm already bored with the mission I get already, now there's gonna be no missions at all, man. Naruto whined. Oh, hush up and stop bitching, Naru. Shika commanded Naruto. Naruto obeyed with a grunt. Oh yeah, and during the pregnancy beware of mood swings and really weird cravings. Do you guys have an extra room in your house for the twins? Tsunade said. Yeah, but it's gonna be troublesome trying to turn it into a nursery. If we didn't have so many other things we had to buy to get ready for them, I'd hired somebody to do it, but we can't afford it. Shikamaru said with an exasperated sigh. Well, I think we should get going for now. Naruto said, standing up and leaving. See ya, Hokage-sama, Shika said with a lazy. She waved in reply and smiled until they were out of the room. Then she ran to the phone in her office and dialed a number. Sakura, guess what? Oh yeah, here Naruto, Shikamaru said, handing him a folded piece of paper while they were walking down the streets of Konoha. A pamphlet about the ramen city of the world? Why are you giving this to me? Naruto asked. Unfold it, Shika replied. Naruto did so and he saw 2 plane tickets. 1, they're tickets to the ramen city in Food Country. I figured you might want to go, but if you don't I can always get my money. Shikamaru said nonchalantly. Naruto glomped him right in the middle of a crowd of people. Shika, thanks so much. Yeah, well, happy belated birthday. Shikamaru replied. 1 month into the pregnancy. As Naruto lay next to his Shika-chan, he was happy. It wasn't that he wasn't usually happy, he was just more happy than usual. He was really asleep, he just wanted to lay next Shikamaru for a while. And he thought that if Shikamaru knew he was awake, he'd make him get up out of bed. Shikamaru knew when Naruto was asleep, so he knew that Naruto was pretending to be asleep. I think I mentioned that before. He soon got tired of the pretending, so he said, Oi Naruto, I know you're awake, so you can open your eyes. Naruto shifted a little, then looked up at Shikamaru. Do we have to get out of bed just yet? Naruto asked nervously. What? No, I just wanted you to stop pretending to be asleep, it was kind of annoying. And what would make you think I Shikamaru, laziness extraordinaire? How do you spell that? Lol, anyway, would want to get up out of bed this early in the morning on our day off? If you wanted to relax in and sleep in or lay in bed, that's fine with me. Shikamaru pulled Naruto closer to him. Now Naruto was halfway on top of him, with their legs intertwined. Naruto nuzzled into Shikamaru's neck, sending a shiver down his spine when he felt the warm breath on his sensitive neck. Thanks, Shika-chan. I just wanted to spend more time with, since you're doing it that overtime at the missions office and the academy to make sure we can afford all the preparations for the twins. Man, that was a long sentence. I've been missing you. Naruto said sincerely. Have I been gone that much? Yeah, you have. Well, I'm sorry for making my Naru-chan lonely and missing me so much. Shikamaru apologized with a mocking tone. Naruto scowled but then kissed Shikamaru. What was that for? Shikamaru asked his small-than-him lover. Lol, why is that funny? Don't know lol. Do I have to have a reason? Not really. Okay then. Shikamaru helped but let a lazy smile creep upon his features. Naruto? Yeah, koi. Marry me. Naruto was dumbfounded. Of course wanted to spend the rest of his life with Shika but never thought he'd ask him. Of course I will. Naruto chirped, locking their lips with a passionate kiss. He was now full on top of Shikamaru, taking in all the warmth of the body beneath him. Aishateru. 1. 3 months into the pregnancy. Naruto was staring at Shikamaru with starry eyes. They both spoke at the same time. I do. A priest with a huge smile on her face was barely able to say, You may kiss the bride, groom. With that, Shikamaru pulled into a loving kiss. It wasn't passionate or lust or anything like that, it was just love. Everyone in the audience cooed at cute sight, mostly the girl like Ino, Sakura, and even Temari, who was known to be tougher than the other girls. All the boys had deep blushes on their face except the ones who were involved with the guy themselves. Sasuke of course didn't show up because ever since he got back to the Leaf Village he's been even much stoic than he was before. Lee was of course had a blush on his face but then stood up and gave them the nice guy pose. After about 55 seconds they broke the kiss. Shikamaru picked up Naruto bridal style and carried him out. Shikamaru, what are doing? We didn't even rehearse this. Naruto exclaimed. I felt like it so I did. Shikamaru told him simply. Naruto shook his head and wrapped his arms tight around Shika's neck so he wouldn't fall. AAWWWW. All the girl cooed in unison. Naruto's face went a really deep color on of red. When they were about to reach the door they were met with confetti everywhere in face. They headed toward a limo. They took them to their house for a reception. Where they got a limo I have no idea, but bear with me lol. After the reception, Naruto and Shikamaru lay naked in the bed panting and gasping for air. They had just had a really hot session of lovemaking. How cheesy does that sound? Naruto snuggled up to Shikamaru. Shika-chan? Yeah, promise me something. What? Promise you'll still find me attractive and want to do this with me when I'm 6, 7, 8 months along and I'm as big as a house. I promise, but why wouldn't I think you look when you're pregnant? At that Naruto blushed and buried his face in Shika's chest. Hey, why are you blushing? I just told the truth. It's nothing. Shikamaru hummed before starting to tickle Naruto into a giggling frenzy. After about 5 minutes Naruto gave up. You sure you want to know? It's kinda stupid? Shikamaru nodded. Well, I was just wondering if the kids will come out cute like me or why like you. Naruto explained. With that said, Shika blushed and rolled his eyes. They'll probably come cute and very beautiful like you. Naruto kissed him for the sweet compliment. I love you so much. Naruto told his now husband truthfully. And love you Naru-chan, Shikamaru said, locking their lips again in a more loving kiss. 6 months into the pregnancy. I'm home. Naruto heard Shikamaru yell from the doorway of their home. Hey, are you hungry? Shikamaru asked out of nowhere. Yeah, actually I am. Naruto replied. Want some ramen? You haven't had any in a while, which is really weird. Shikamaru asked. Kinda. Yeah, Naruto exclaimed. Okay, I'll be back in a little while. Where are you going? To Ichiraku's. We don't have any more cup ramen, so I'm gonna buy some takeout. Well, hurry back, I'll be lonely. Man, these hormones have made you so clingy. What did you say? Oh, nothing Naru-chan. Shikamaru smiled, making Naruto calm down. He rolled his eyes when Naruto wasn't looking though. Naruto had been like that for a while now, clingy and needy one minute and mad as hell the next. It was starting to become exasperating in Shikamaru's opinion. Be back soon, Shikamaru said, using a teleportation jutsu to transfer him to Ichiraku's in only seconds. Naruto sighed and lay down full length on the couch. About 15 minutes later he felt a weird sensation and all of a sudden he was wet. Wait a second, that cannot be what I think it is, Naruto said, looking down at the now soaked couch. Well, I guess they'll have to burn that couch lol. I think my water just broke. How the hell his water gonna break? I have no idea ROFL. Naruto suddenly felt a horrible pain and started breathing deeply. 20 minutes go past. Where the hell is Shika? Naruto thought, getting frustrated because his husband hadn't shown up yet. Just then Shikamaru appeared in puff of smoke holding ramen. Sorry, the place was pretty full tonight. Shikamaru apologized. Then he noticed the pained look on Naruto's face and the wet spot on the couch and said, what's going on? Why do you look like you're in pain? 1, because the babies are on their way, and 2, because I am. Exclaimed. Oh shit, Shikamaru said with a super shocked look on his face. Then he ran to their room and grabbed some suitcases that already had clothes in them because they had been prepared for the moment they knew was coming anytime now. He ran back to his husband, wife, I only say that because he's the Uke, and grabbed his hand using the teleportation jutsu to teleport them to Tsunade's Hokage tower. Tsunade looked up from her paperwork and said, what do you two want? I'm pretty busy. It's time, was all that Shika needed to say before Tsunade jumped from her seat to help them to the hospital that wasn't too far from the tower. Yeah, about 30 feet. Hours later, after a long disgusting operation, 2 newborn babies came into the world. The first to be born was a girl. She had Naruto's blonde hair, nose, and cheeks. But she had Shikamaru's eye, ears, and lips. The second-born twin was a boy, with Shikamaru's deep brown hair, nose, and cheeks. While he had Naruto's blue eyes, his ears, and his lips. Wow, they're so cute, Sakura exclaimed. She got to see them because she was Tsunade's assistant through the operation. Have you guys thought of names? Sakura said with a grin on her face. Yeah, from now on their names will be. Their names are Shikaru, one, for the boy and Suke for the girl. Shikamaru said as he rocked his newborn son in his arms. Oh, those names are so cute. Exclaimed. Yeah, well, it was really hard deciding between Arashi and Shikaru for the name of our son, but Shikamaru talked me into it. He said it was so that we could keep up with his family tradition, that way his parents wouldn't flip when they found that he had broken the family tradition. Yep, cuz it would be too troublesome to try and calm them down from the shock of breaking precious family tradition. TCH. Shikamaru frowned and then softened his face when he realized that he was upsetting his son. Yeah, well, I think it's an ego thing. Naruto whispered in Sakura's ear and they both snickered. I heard that, Shikamaru replied with another scowl. It was a joke, Shika-kun, lighten up. Sakura beamed. You seem a little too happy. Shikamaru said, raising a questioning eyebrow. I'm just so happy for you guys. Also, I'm thinking about all the time I'm going to be spending with them. Sakura said, grabbing Shikaru. Cuz I'm your aunt Sakura, yes I am, oh yes I am. She said in one of those weird voices that people use to talk to babies with. At that moment no one was sure if that was in reply to what Sakura said or not, but just then Shikaru went tinkle on Sakura. Lol, went tinkle, I kill me. Sakura's face went sour as she handed him back to his father. Shika, Naruto held back a laugh that after a few seconds escaped his mouth. Ah, Sakura-chan, he didn't mean to do it, lighten up, it's only a little piss. Sakura groaned at that comment that Shikamaru made, mocking her. She went to go change. Tsunade Ba'an, when can me and the twins go home? Naruto yelled the question at the now asleep Gondam. Huh, what? Tsunade asked as she woke up and wiped drool from her mouth. I said, when can me and the twins go home? Naruto repeated. Well, since you have such an uncanny healing rate, I'd say you'll probably able to go home tomorrow. Hey, you know what, have you all noticed that those two have a really high amount of chakra for infants? Tsunade said with a kind of surprised look on her face. Yeah, you know what, you're right. Sakura said after had changed her, and then Shikaru. Why she changed him I don't know. They're my kids. Naruto said, gloating. Funny, I thought I had something to do with it too. Shikamaru mocked before chuckling. You know what I mean. Naruto said, pulling Shikamaru down for a kiss. But then Suke cried, causing her twin to cry as well. In turn this made the new parents to break the kiss and start to panic. What's wrong with them? Naruto said, seriously starting to get scared. You ever think they might be hungry? Duh. Sakura rolled her eyes at her surrogate brothers. Oh, now why didn't I think of that, I'm supposed to the genius? Shika asked, even though it wasn't said like a question. Here, Sakura said, handing Shikamaru a bottle to feed Shikaru. Ya hungry, well drink up. Naruto said in a loving voice to his infant daughter as she drank the formula, milk that was in the bottle. Shikamaru looked up from his junior and saw the cute side of his lover, husband, wife. Lol, why is that funny, feeding their daughter. A little time went by as the babies finished their bottles and started to fall asleep. Shikamaru and Naruto both had content smiles on their face. Then Shikamaru started to look at Naruto longingly. You two are gonna make totally great parents. Tsunade and her apprentice exclaimed at the same time. Oh come on, how corny was that? Shikamaru said with an exasperated tone to his voice. Why are you so cranky? Sakura said, kind of getting an attitude. Because I can't be alone with my Naruto, that's why. Shikamaru replied, answering the question that clearly had him infuriated. Sheesh, if you wanted us to leave you could have said so sooner. Tsunade said, rolling her eyes. Well, I thought that went without saying. I mean, we did just have kids, why wouldn't we want at least a few minutes to ourselves? Come on now, don't be stupid. Shikamaru said with an attitude. First of all, we ain't mind readers, how da hell was we posed to know you wanted to be alone with Naruto? Don't start with me cuz we can get it crackin' right now. Now what, squat up? Tsunade said, trying to sound intimidating. What the hell? Was his reply. Ooh, somebody getting a lil attitudinal problem up in her, too. Sakura said, snapping her fingers and turning towards her mother figure and starting to leaving. Naruto, you betta check yo man. Tsunade said, rolling her eyes at Shika again and then following Sakura out of the room. What did they just say? Shikamaru asked with a confused look on his face. Naruto laughed at his husband's lack of knowledge of urban lingo or slang. Don't worry about that, you're supposed to be thinking about me, Naruto said with a smirk on his face. By this time the twins had both fallen asleep and were put into whatever the room is called where they put babies after they're born. Lol, seriously, I don't know what it's called. I am not stupid, lol. How do you feel, Koi? Shikamaru said, kissing his blonde. Horrible, it's like someone cut me open and took parasites out of my body, Naruto explained. Shikamaru's sweat dropped. Babe, that's what happened. Well, minus the parasite thing. Oh well, that's probably why it feels like that's what happened. You know, I couldn't see anything since they had that sheet thing over my legs, Naruto said, smiling. Oh, and if you ever make me experience that again, I'll kill you myself, Naruto said in a mocking manner. Yeah, whatever you say, Shikamaru said, taking Naruto into his arms. Well, in any case, you're happy, aren't you? Shikamaru asked his koi. Yeah, of course I am, was the blonde's excited reply. Can you imagine what a great time we'll have raising our kids? Naruto beamed at him. Yeah, and if they're as energetic as you, it'll also be troublesome, the lazy nin said, making fun of his koi. I'm gonna pretend you didn't just say that and just kiss you so you can shut up, Naruto said before planting one on his husband. A few days after the twins' birth, it was 3 o'clock in the morning when Naruto woke up to the sound of his children crying. He was snuggled up to Shikamaru, so withdrew his face from his human pillow sleepily. Hey, it's your turn, Naruto said, barely opening his eyes. Nah, it's your turn, I stayed with them last night, Shikamaru replied, opening only one eye sleepily. Yeah, but you didn't stay with them until they went to sleep. I had to take over cuz you had a teachers' meeting early in the morning, remember? Naruto said, and then smirked when his lover frowned and started then shifting to get up. Can I just sleep 5 more minutes? Shikamaru pleaded with his sleepy husband, wife. No, now get your lazy ass in there and don't come back until they're asleep, Naruto practically yelled, upsetting his babies even more. Fine, Shikamaru sighed. He got up and went into the twins' room. Naruto meanwhile lay back down and tried to regain his peaceful sleeping state. About an hour went by before Naruto felt Shikamaru's warm body wrapped around him. That was unusually quick. Tell me you didn't use a sleep jutsu on them, I told not to do that, Naruto said. Oh, calm down, I didn't use that. And anyway, I only did that once. Twice, Naruto cut in. Whatever, anyway, I just did the dad thing and now they're asleep, Shikamaru said while smiling because he was truly proud of himself. So what was wrong with them? Naruto asked purely out of curiosity. Well, Suke had gas, but Shikaru, well, I don't want to talk about it, Shikamaru said, finishing his sentence with a sweat drop. Shikamaru stopped his ministrations for a few seconds to make sure that their kids didn't wake up. But after about 30 seconds continued sucking vigorously on Naruto member as the strokes, sucks, and licks continued. Naruto found himself reaching his peak in no time at all. Oh, I'm gonna, Naruto moaned out as he shot in Shikamaru's mouth. Shikamaru chuckled as he swallowed down the hot white liquid. Shikamaru reached over to the nightstand next to the bed and pulled out some lube. Naruto shook his as he about to squeeze onto his fingers. You don't want me to use the lube? Nope. I've been waiting for a while for this, I want as rough as I can get it. Phew, how perverted is that? Whatever you say, Shikamaru smirked. But don't blame me if you can't walk after this. I hadn't planned on walking too much tomorrow anyway, Naruto smirked back. He was starting to get another hard-on. Hours later, Naruto flicked his eyes open. Noticing that his husband was gone, he sat up abruptly. Oh, how he regretted that. Almost instantly he felt a sharp pain shoot up his backside. He winced at the pain and whimpered a bit. You awake in there, Naruto? Naruto heard the love of his life call from somewhere outside the bedroom. Yeah, could you bring me some painkillers or something? Naruto asked, smelling delicious food being cooked. Here, babe, Shikamaru said, handing Naruto some of his family's deer antler medicine and kissing him. This should at least help you walk without too much pain. He smirked at the last comment, proud of what he had done. Shika, I blame you for this. Even though it was incredibly MMPH, Naruto said, spooning Shikamaru as he bent over to kiss him again. MMPH what? This FIC is really starting to get perverted, lol. Hey, I told you not to blame if you couldn't move afterwards, Shikamaru said, defending himself. No, you said I wouldn't be to walk, not move. And anyway, I told I didn't think it was a good idea in the first place, so there. Naruto pouted. Oh, be quiet, you weren't this much last except when you were begging me not to stop. Shikamaru said smugly. HMPH. Naruto pouted even more. Don't be that way, Shikamaru commanded gently as he placed a kiss on whisker-scarred cheeks. I'll be back with breakfast in a few K. Shikamaru told him as he started for the door of the bedroom. What about the babies, are they up yet? Naruto asked with a little concern in his eyes. They're still asleep, but I've got my shadow watching them so he can tell me if there's anything wrong. Shikamaru explained to Naruto, calming him down. Okay. Naruto felt kind of dumb for worrying. After about 10 minutes Shikamaru entered the room with a huge tray of food with a mini feast on it. Wow, Shika, you always spoil me, Naruto exclaimed, getting a nonchalant shrug from his husband. Yeah, well, you are my wife, husband. 3, I gotta treat you right, he replied, smiling. He put the tray down on the bed and sat next to Naruto as they both began to dig in. Wah! Came a loud shriek that sounded like Suke and Shikaru. Both parents shot out of the bed and ran to get their children. Shikamaru grabbing Suke and Naruto grabbing Shikaru. I think we should feed them, they haven't had anything to eat in a while. Naruto told his lover. Yeah, I'll go start warming the bottles. I'll be on the couch. Naruto sat there and stared into his son's eyes, which were originally his. If you were looking at him right now you would swear he was looking into a crystal ball or something. He stared as if he could the future in his eyes. In a way he could see all the potential the newborn had. He only got to stare at him a bit longer before Shikamaru entered the living room with 2 bottles and Suke in his hands. Naruto grabbed the bottle from his koi as he handed it to him. He began feeding Shikaru while leaning up against Shikamaru. Shika-chan? Yeah, I think we can this parenting thing, Naruto said as he smiled up Shikamaru. Shika? Naruto said, looking at Shikamaru, turning his gaze away from babies he had been watching sleep. Huh? Shikamaru replied sleepily because when Naruto had his back turned he dozed off as well. I told you about what's gonna happen this week, right? Naruto said, walking over toward his husband. No, Shika replied with a nonchalant tone. Well, you know how none of our friends have seen the twins besides Sakura. Yeah, well, Ino is mad so she's throwing a get-together for all our friends. She also wants to take care of them for a while, I guess just spending the night at her house. How troublesome do we have to go? I mean, it's probably gonna be total a drag. Oh, stop acting like baby, and yes, we do have to go. Plus I want all our friends to see our cute little babies. Yeah, okay, whatever, Shika said, frowning. Don't be like that, Naruto said, sitting on Shikamaru's lap. You're too white to be frowning up your face like that. With that said, Naruto kissed Shikamaru. So what type of get-together is this gonna be anyway? I think it is gonna be sometime type of picnic. A few days later, Naruto and Shikamaru walked through the woodsy area that had been set up the picnic get-together. Naruto was holding Shikaru, Shikamaru holding Suke. Shika! They heard Choji exclaim. Hey Choji, I'm gonna go talk with Choji for a bit, okay Naru-chan? Shikamaru said, getting a nod from Naruto. Hey Naruto, over here bro. Kiba yelled from where he was standing with Shino and Gaara. Hey guys. Naruto walked up to his best friends. Is that your pup? He's so cute. Aw. He looks like, well, both of you, but I think he looks more like Shika. Kiba held out his finger and Shikaru grabbed it with a firm grip. He's strong too. It's gonna be fun training with him, Kiba said with a huge goofy grin on his face. Yeah, I know, Naruto replied. How have you been, Naruto? Gaara asked, feeling left out of the conversation. I'm great, a little tired, but I've been great. Only thing is these two don't sleep through the night and we have to stay with them until they fall back asleep. Usually it's me since Shika has to go to the academy every day. He gets cranky when he doesn't sleep, and trust me, nobody wants to see a cranky Shika, especially little kids. But on days when I have mission he stays with them. But other than that it's been pretty good, Naruto explained. Well, that's good to hear, Shino replied. Hey, let's go get something to eat, I'm starving, Kiba suggested. Okay, sure, was the reply from everyone. They all walked over to the rest of the group. They were in an open meadow where the grass had been cut so that bugs wouldn't bother them as much. And the sun was shining just right over it, making the scenic place even more beautiful. It was the perfect place for a picnic. In the middle was a huge picnic table with all sort of food, some foreign and some familiar. Near but not too close to the table was a bunch of blankets, obviously for sitting on. Alright, come and eat if you're hungry, said with a huge smile on her. Kiba ran up and got plate ready to fill his plate but was soon whacked on the hand by Ino. Itai, damn it, that hurt. Wait, did I spell that right? Kiba yelled at her. Kiba, you fucking idiot, wait Naruto and Shika to get their food before you pig out. Ino yelled with a seriously scary look on her face. Well, you should have said, everyone, you should have said Naruto and Shika first. Kiba said, defending himself. Kiba, you truly are an idiot. Ino deadpanned. That's when Naruto walked up and told Ino to calm down as he started to grab food for himself and Shika since he took Shikaru and headed to blanket, saying it was too troublesome to have to wait in line for food. Geez, how lazy can you be, Owl? Naruto thought. When the plates were full, he headed over to the blanket Shika had sat on and gave him his food before sitting down himself. Thanks, love, Shika said, starting to eat. Yeah, whatever. Naruto said, rolling his eyes at husband's laziness. What was that for? Shika asked. Nothing, love, just eat and be quiet, Naruto said, starting to eat his own. Shikamaru reached over and tightly embraced the blonde before kissing him affectionately on the cheek. HMPH, was the reply that escaped Naruto's lips before pulling out of the hug and starting eat again. Hey Shika, have you ever tasted this before? Ino said it was potato salad. Naruto asked. Not that I recall, just try it, it could be good, was his reply. You taste it for Shika. Naruto whined. No, taste it yourself, Shikamaru said, eating more of his own food. You are so mean. Naruto pouted. When he saw the pout had no effect his lover he called, Shika. Shikamaru turned his head toward Naruto and said, what is MPH? When Shikamaru had turned his head, Naruto quickly rushed a forkful potato salad into his mouth. Well, how is it? Naruto asked with a smirk on his face. You tell me, Shikamaru said, kissing Naruto, forcing his tongue into his mouth. Naruto could taste potato salad and Shika in his mouth. He rather liked the taste. They pulled away for air. Well, what do you think of it? It's okay, I guess. It's not bad, Naruto replied. Then Naruto went back to eating the little food he had left on his plate. Shika soon followed suit. They were finished pretty quickly. When Kiba had called Naruto over to play some games. You comin'? Naruto asked. No, I think I'm gonna follow the kid's example and take a nap. Shikamaru replied, fully laying down on the huge blanket. Suit yourself, Naruto said before running off to play games. A few hours later, Naruto had returned to the blanket to find Shikamaru feeding Suke. She finished the bottle and laid quietly back on her and her brother's comfortable spot on the blanket. Look what I won, Naruto said, holding up a teddy bear. Don't you think you're a little old for that thing? Shikamaru said. No, I'm only 17, you asshole, Naruto said, pouting. I'm sorry, Shikamaru said, pulling Naruto into his lap. Since he was laying down, Naruto was straddling him. Shikamaru pulled Naruto's head down for a kiss, wherein the two's tongues fought a war with each other, pouring out all their passion. Everyone could see from where they sat what they were doing, and this in turn inspired others to try and get some action themselves. Shino pulled Kiba close and started kiss and suck on his neck, while Lee and Sakura made out by a nearby sakura tree. Kankuro had pounced on Neji and was now groping, kissing and sucking in that made Neji want to come in his pants. Even Choji, who was usually shy about that type of thing, was stealing kisses from Ino. While Tamari and Hinata sat around and debated about which couple was the cutest. Gaara had spaced out a long time ago, just staring at the beautiful now night sky. Shikamaru had changed his mind, he was glad that he had come. At the end of the picnic, everyone had had their turn to play and or care for the babies. And now everyone wanted to babysit them for the night. How was it resolved? Well, let's just say with enough enthusiasm Sakura and Ino could kick the whole Rookie Nine's ass. Lol. They both won since they share an apartment, being such good friends and all. Shikamaru and Naruto were too afraid to deny them their request. So after returning to their house to get some extra clothes and stuff for the babies with Sakura and Ino in tow, Shikamaru and Naruto sighed in relief. They were finally alone and could relax without worrying about the twins. This turned out to be a very pleasurable evening for the both of them. Naruto woke to the feeling of warm lips on his neck. He moaned slightly, pulling the lips closer onto his neck. His hands creped into soft, dark brown hair. Shika, stop. I can't, you taste so good. Shikamaru responded. You have to, Naruto said when Shikamaru went to his lips. And, why is that? Shikamaru asked between kisses. One word. Kids. Naruto stated. So lock the door. Shikamaru replied, his mouth venturing lower onto Naruto's body. He trailed his tongue down the already shirtless body. You all know that won't stop them. Naruto moaned out. Well, whose fault is that? You're the one who keeps teaching them all those jutsu. Shikamaru said before he reached the hem of Naruto's boxers. Well, I can't help, it's so much fun to teach them new things. And plus I'm not the only one who teaches them stuff. I mean, just look at Sakura-chan. Naruto ranted. He sighed as the door creaked all the way open. He lay on his back next to Naruto, hands behind his head in lazy position. Papa, Shikaru exclaimed. Daddy, Suke yelled. They both ran to the bed that their parents were laying on. Shikaru ran to Shikamaru while Suke ran to Naruto. Shikaru hugged Shikamaru and told him, good morning, while Suke, being the more energetic one, decided to start a tickle war with Naruto. Of course she lost and gave her daddy a big kiss on the forehead and told him, good morning. Daddy, don't forget to pick us up after school so you can drop us off at Grandma and Grandpa's place for the weekend. Shikaru said. Don't remind me. Naruto grimaced. What's wrong with you? Don't tell me you're still scared of Mom? Shikamaru asked. You hit the nail on the head. Naruto replied. Well, at least she kinda likes you now. Shikamaru stated. Yeah, right, she still scares me. I'm sorry, but she's a scary person. Naruto replied. Shikamaru couldn't hold back a loud laugh. Well, at least my dad likes you. Shikamaru said as Shikaru and Suke just listened to the interesting conversation. They had never noticed any hostility toward their daddy coming from their grandma. Yeah, your dad's cool, Naruto said, suddenly smiling. I remember the first time I introduced you guys to each other. Man, what a mess that was. Shikamaru said, starting to reminisce. Flashback. Naruto was struggling against Shikamaru's strong hold. Let go, Shika. I don't want to go. I just know this is a bad idea. Naruto said, trying to pry Shika's hand off of his arm. I'm not letting go. I want my parents to meet the love of my life. Shikamaru explained, pulling Naruto closer to his parents' home. Naruto had blushed at his comment, slightly forgetting why he was struggling. But I don't want, I already know they're gonna hate me. Naruto whined, sounding like a 2-year-old trying to get his way. Just come on, we won't know until we get there. Shikamaru said, finally starting to his parents' old house. He walked up to the door with a still protesting Naruto. He rang the doorbell. After a few seconds his father answered the door. Hey son, what brings you here today? Shikaku asked, standing in the doorway smiling down at his son. He didn't even notice Naruto until he heard struggling coming from behind Shikamaru. Hello there, and who is this Shikamaru? Shikaku asked his son. Dad, this is Uzumaki Naruto. Shikamaru stated, introducing Naruto. Oh yes, I know you. You're the kid that everyone says is always causing trouble. Nice to finally meet you. Shikaku laughed. It's nice to meet you, sir. Naruto bowed slightly to show respect. Well, come on in, you too. Shikaku stepped aside and let them inside. Shikamaru stepped in first and waited for Naruto to come in before proceeding. Then he walked over to the sofa that was in the living room. He flopped down first before Naruto nervously sat next to him. Shikaku sat in an armchair across from the sofa. Would you two like anything, something to drink, a snack maybe? Shikaku asked them. No, that's okay. Hey, where's Mom? Shikamaru replied. She's out buying groceries right now. Why, is there something you need to talk to her about? Shikaku replied. Well, actually there's something that I need to tell both of you about. Shikamaru explained. Well, what is it? His father replied. Well, I was planning on telling you both at the same time, but I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, see, Naruto here is, well, he's not just my friend. He's my boyfriend and lover. And I love him to death. Shikamaru spit out. Shikaku looked surprised for a second, then he just shrugged and said, well, that's good for you. But you know, I can't really say I'm surprised. You never really showed a real interest in girls. Well, I'm happy for you, son. If you say you're in love with this boy, then I'll support you any way I can. Shikamaru sighed in relief. Naruto, who had a really nervous look on his face, relaxed a little bit. Well, that went better than I thought. Great, now all I have to do is tell Mom. Well, I say we celebrate. Shikaku exclaimed suddenly. Huh? Shikamaru questioned because he had not been paying attention. I'll go get the good sake. Shikaku said, walking out of the living room. I really like your dad, he seems to be a really fun person. Naruto said. You have no idea. Shikamaru said. Then he placed a quick kiss on Naruto's cheek. This caused Naruto to blush and ask, what was that for? Nothing really. Shikamaru replied. He would have kissed Naruto again but his father had walked back into the room. Here you go. Shikaku handed Naruto and Shikamaru little cups filled with sake. Sir, aren't we too young to be drinking? Naruto questioned. Ha ha, don't be so modest. You two are ninja and ninja are forced to mature far beyond their age. So the way I see it, you two are men already. Shikaku. I guess that makes some sense. Naruto said before taking a sip of the alcohol. No it doesn't. Shikamaru thought before he sighed and sipped some of his own sake. Not bad. The three men continued drinking until it was late in the afternoon. Naruto of course overdid it a little and was now a little tipsy. Shikamaru was okay yet he was still a little headed. They weren't drunk but they weren't sober either. Naruto leaned into Shikamaru and kissed him straight on the lips. Shikaku didn't say anything, he just watched. But right at that moment Nara Yoshino walked into the house. Honey, I'm home, can you help me with these groceries? She called to her husband. Coming dear, he answered. They walked straight into the kitchen with the groceries. Yoshino didn't notice Shikamaru or Naruto sitting on the couch. When they came back after all the groceries had been put away, she finally noticed them. Oh hello son. Oh, who is this, a friend? She said. Well actually, Shikamaru started. Honey, this is Naruto, our son's lover. Shikaku explained, cutting off Shikamaru. Shikamaru looked wide-eyed at his father. What the hell is wrong with him, is he that drunk? I don't so but maybe he is. Shikamaru thought in his mind. I think you're drunk. You just said that boy is Shikamaru's lover when that can't be possible. Yoshino said to her husband. Well, you might be right about him being drunk mom, but you wrong about the other part. Naruto is my lover, Shikamaru said, trying to sound as serious as he could in his current state. Unfortunately that didn't happen, he sounded as if he were drunk. Honey, I think you drank too much too, Yoshino said. Shikamaru sighed before he leaned over to Naruto and kissed him. Not some little peck on the lips but a really passionate kiss. While Yoshino watched with shock obviously playing on her face, Shikamaru pulled back and looked his mother straight in the eye and waited for a response. Well Shikamaru, have you thought this out thoroughly? Are you sure you love him? I always thought you would end up with that nice Ino girl. She said, trying to reason with Shikamaru. Yes I have, mother. And what would make you think that I would like Ino like that? Shikamaru replied. But what about that the Nara clan, are you really going to let it end with you just for this boy? First of all, this boy has a name and it's Naruto. Second of all, there are other Naras out there who can continue the bloodline. And why is it so hard for you to accept Naruto? Shikamaru said to his mother. I just want what's best for you. Maybe Naruto is best for me. Shikamaru replied, slightly raising his voice. He looks serious. Is this what he really wants? Yoshino thought to herself. She sighed very deeply. She walked over to Naruto. She motioned for him to stand. Naruto looked nervously over to Shikamaru, who gave him a slight nod. Naruto stood very unsteadily in front of the woman. Oh man, this lady is looking like she's gonna kill me. She's really scary, Naruto thought, staring straight ahead into the eyes of the woman who was now looking him over. Well, I'll admit he's cute, but that's about it, nothing special. What could Shikamaru see in him? But I guess I'll have to accept him, but it'll be hard. But maybe I could learn to like this Naruto boy, she thought before she outstretched a hand for Naruto to shake. If you looked closely at her face, one of her eyebrows was twitching slightly. This in turn made Naruto very apprehensive in shaking her hand, but he did anyway. End flashback. Papa, hey, is you okay? Shikaru asked with a worried look on his. Oh yeah, I'm fine son. Why don't you and your sister go get ready for school? Shikamaru said to his children. Okay, Suke yelled. Come Oni-chan, she said, grabbing hold of her twin and running toward the bathroom. Where does she get so much energy from? Naruto asked his husband as Shikaru and Suke scrambled out of the room. Duh, from you, Shikamaru replied. Well, what do you have planned for today? I mean, besides picking up the twins and taking them to my parents' place? Shikamaru inquired. Well, a little training in the morning. Need to go shopping, but that's about it for the rest of the day. Naruto explained. Good. Why? Because I have some stuff planned for today, Shikamaru replied. Naruto only looked quizzically at him before deciding to just wait and see what his husband had planned for him. Well, will I be able to see you at work before I go get the twins from their class? Naruto beamed at him. Yeah, Shikamaru thought. Good. Well, better go get some kinda breakfast started, Naruto said before getting up and heading for the door. Naruto koi. Look down. Shikamaru's sweat dropped as his blonde had just now noticed that he still hadn't put his boxer back on. Damn it, he yelled before running back to the bed and looking for his boxer. Oi Naruto, Shikamaru called. He threw Naruto boxer in his face. Thanks Shika. Naruto kissed quickly on the cheek before running out of room and into the kitchen. Tch troublesome, Shikamaru sighed. The twins were finished dressing by the time their breakfast was done. They ran into the kitchen when they smelled food. Oh Shikaru, daddy's cooking. Suke grimaced. Oh no, run, Shikaru yelled. Hey, it isn't that bad, Naruto retorted. Yeah it is, Suke whispered to her brother. What was that? Naruto asked, slightly raising his voice. Nothing daddy, I think we'll eat at school. Come on Shikaru, Suke replied, grabbing her brother and heading for the door. Hey, wait a minute Shikaru, you are not walking out of the door with your hair a mess like that, Naruto said in a stern tone. But daddy, Shikaru whined. No buts, your hair is a mess. Now go get a comb and brush, Naruto said. Shikaru trudged to the bathroom and got a comb and a brush. He brought the brushes to Naruto and Naruto commenced in trying to straighten the long, dark, thick, kinky hair. After a minute his hair was pulled back into a ponytail that resembled Shikamaru's. Ow, that hurt, can't you try to be more gentle when working on someone else's hair? Shikaru mumbled under his breath. Then both the twins headed for the door. Once they were gone, Naruto ran his hand through his now long hair. That's right, Naruto now has hair that went past his shoulders, not that far, but still it was pretty long. He had gotten tired of cutting it over the years, so he just let it grow out. Plus Shikamaru said he cute with his long hair. Honestly, I'm getting tired of doing his hair. Why can't he be more like his sister and keep his hair straight? HMPH, probably just too lazy, which he gets from his papa. He went to the bathroom so that he could get ready to leave and start his day, only to find that Shika was already in there. Hey, mind if I join you? Naruto asked his husband. Sure, come on, Shikamaru replied. Yay, Naruto exclaimed. Naruto stepped in and they showered together, just liking the comfort they got from showering with each other instead of alone. When they were done washing, they got out and went to their bedroom to get dressed. And they headed for the door. Shikamaru grabbed Naruto and pulled him into a deep kiss. I love you Naruto, remember that, he said. I know, and I love you too, Naruto replied before Shikamaru took off for the academy. He walked to the training grounds and started his training. He trained for a good 3 hours before he decided that that was enough for today. It was now 11:30 in the morning. I still have a little bit of time before I go shopping, Naruto said to himself. Guess I could go for a walk to cool myself down before I hit the store. He pulled his now sweat-drenched hair into a ponytail and walked away from the training grounds. While walking to the store the long way, he spotted Hinata, Kiba, and Shino. Kiba noticed him first. Oh hey Naruto, what's up? Where are the little squirts? He asked. They're at the academy right now, even though it seems to me they should be teaching the teachers. Naruto laughed. Yeah, they are pretty talented, aren't they? Hinata said nervously. Well, I would stay and chat more with you guys, but I gotta get to the store, Naruto explained. Okay, then we won't hold you, Shino replied. Bye Naruto, Kiba called as Naruto walked off. After reaching the store, Naruto bought what was needed and went back home to put up the groceries. He headed back out to the academy. Once there, he went to Shikamaru's office. He found him sleeping on the desk. He walked over to him. Naruto suddenly had an idea of how he should wake up his sleeping husband. He blew in his ear before whispering in it, Shika, wake up. Wake up Shika. After he said this, he blew in his ear again. Shikamaru frowned before he slowly opened his eyes and grabbed Naruto. HMPH. You should give wake-up calls like that more often, Shikamaru said before he pulled Naruto down onto his lap and crushed his lips onto Naruto's. He probed Naruto's familiar mouth with his tongue. Naruto moaned, but then he pulled back, getting a grunt in response. Shika, we can't, we're in the middle of a school. Damn it, twice in the same day. Shikamaru cursed in his mind. Why were you asleep? I got sleepy, so I decided to take a nap. Well, it looks like you drooled on those papers you were supposed to grade, Naruto pointed out. What? Shikamaru asked, then he looked down at his desk. Ah damn it. It gonna be too troublesome trying to read these. Shikamaru said. Naruto laughed at that statement. Then they heard a loud bring sound. It was the bell. Well, school's out, you better go get Suke and Shikaru and drop them off. Shikamaru said. I still have papers to grade, so I'll meet you at home, okay? Shikamaru added. Yeah, okay. Naruto replied and walked out of the door, but not before swinging his hips seductively, knowing that Shikamaru was watching. Once he was out the door, Shikamaru sighed. He is such a tease. He looked down at the papers and grimaced as Get tried to get started. Naruto walked over to his children's class, which just so happened to be Iruka's. Hey Iruka-sensei. I'm here to pick up Suke and Shikaru. I hope they weren't too much trouble today. He said, greeting his old teacher. Not really. Although I did have to stop Suke from killing a poor little boy who said that boys were better than girls at everything. Iruka laughed. Hee hee, that's my girl. Naruto said proudly while laughing. Daddy, the twins called in unison. Hey, you two ready to go? He asked them. Uh-huh, they said again at the same time. Then come on. Later, Iruka-sensei. Naruto walked out with both his children trailing behind him. Bye Naruto. Iruka waved to them as they left. Yay, we're going to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Suke exclaimed. Calm down sis, it's really not that exciting. Shikaru sighed. You're such a downer. Suke pouted. Yeah, he gets it from your papa, Naruto said. Naruto dropped the twins at his parents-in-law house, before he headed back to his own house to wait for Shikamaru to come back home. He flopped down on the couch and turned on the TV. He watched it until he heard Shikamaru come through the door. Naruto ran to him and hugged him. So what do you have planned for this evening? Naruto asked. Nothing really special, he replied simply. Naruto frowned a little before Shikamaru picked him up bridal style and carried him to their bedroom. Shikamaru placed Naruto on the bed. Then he stripped off Naruto's clothes and soon after his own. He climbed onto the bed and lay between Naruto's legs, straddling him. You have no excuse this time, Shikamaru said. Hours later, Naruto was lying on top of Shikamaru, panting and sweating. Shikamaru was also panting and sweating something fierce. That was so great. Naruto managed to get out. Yeah, Shikamaru replied. Being extremely tired, the two men drifted off to sleep quickly. But they didn't notice that pair of evil yellow snake-like eyes were watching them secretly in the shadows. Shikaru woke up next to his sister in the guest room in his grandparents' house. He was gasping and drenched in a cold sweat. His eyes were wide with fear. He looked over to the alarm clock. It read 3:45 a.m. Suke felt him wake up. She saw the state he was in and asked, Oni-chan, you okay? No, I had a really bad dream. He explained. Oh, about what? She inquired. Well, there was a man with a face like a snake. And he was following us around, but we didn't notice. And he was hurting Daddy and Papa because of us. Shikaru was crying by the end of his explanation. And his sister pulled him close to her. It's all right, Shikaru, it was only a dream. She said this to comfort him, although she was scared herself. Being twins, they share a really special bond, and when he was explaining, she saw exactly what he saw. You kids okay in there? They heard their grandfather call to them from other side of the door. Yeah, we're fine, Grandpa, Suke said in her usually happy voice. Well, hurry and get back to bed, it's too early in the morning for you two to be up, Shikaku said before walking back to his own bedroom. You okay, bro? Suke asked Shikaru, who stopped crying. Yeah, but I just hope it was a dream like you said. He trailed off before he fell asleep in his sister's arm. She smiled at him before she fell asleep herself. Later at the Nara Uzumaki residence, Naruto turned in the heat of his lover's arm. He got a little more comfortable. Then his eyes shot straight open. He ran to the bathroom and threw up his guts. He heaved a few more times before he flushed the toilet. By this, Shikamaru had come with a worried face turned to Naruto. Naru-chan, you okay? He asked. Yeah, but, and he heaved again. Shikamaru held back his hair as he continued to barf up his guts. When Naruto was finally done, he got up and gargled with Listerine because he hated the taste of vomit. Naruto, do you have a stomach virus or something? Shikamaru asked his smaller husband. No, I don't think so. I dunno why that happened, I just woke up and well, you know what happened. Naruto replied. Shikamaru was still worried, but he decided not to read too much into it. Hey Shika, let's go get something to eat. Well, after we get dressed first, Naruto suggested. Yeah, okay, sure, Shika replied. Oh, and we should go clothes shopping for the twins while we're out. Naruto added in. Yes, dear. Shikamaru mocked Naruto. I hate when you say that. It makes me feel like a girl and I'm not a girl. Naruto retorted. I know better than anyone that you're not a girl. Shikamaru said, smirking and wrapping his arms around Naruto's waist. He pulled him close and kissed him. I hate it when you do that too. You think I'm gonna forget just you are. Naruto was cut off by Shikamaru's lips on the sensitive spot on his neck. See, I know you better than anyone. Shikamaru smirked again. Oh, shut up. Naruto retorted as he walked over to the shower and turned it on. He stepped in without even waiting for the water to get warm. Guess there's no room for me in there. Shikamaru called from the other side of the door. Nope, not this time. Naruto replied, anger still evident in his voice. He's a moody little thing, isn't he? Even though Naruto said this, Shikamaru was heading the shower anyway. He stepped in despite Naruto's protest. Damn it, why can't I ever stay mad at him? He asked himself. He sighed and let Shikamaru shower with him. After they were done showering, they got dressed. Naruto wore an orange and black t-shirt and black shorts that went to his mid-knees. They weren't tight but not really loose either. They were snug and comfortable. Shikamaru put on a blue short-sleeve button-up shirt and loose-fitting black pants. After dressing, they headed for a restaurant that they sometimes took the kids to when they were good, out of groceries, or just didn't feel like cooking. Which was a lot considering that Naruto was a very good cook and that Shikamaru was just lazy. They would have gone to Ichiraku's, but they went there last time they went out to eat. It was Shikamaru's turn to pick. And since he wasn't too fond of ramen, he chose to go to this restaurant. They entered the restaurant known, Chubi's, 1. They sat at their usual tables. A booth close to the window. The waitress they usually had serving them wasn't there. Maybe she was out sick, Naruto thought. Instead, they had some ditzy blonde with a big bosom. She wasn't too bright. She kept breaking things and tripping everywhere. Shikamaru sighed unpleasantly. This is gonna be a long breakfast, he said in his mind. Can I get you anything, cutie? She asked Naruto. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow at her but said nothing. He considered using the Kage Kubashibari no Jutsu, too, on her, but he knew Naruto wouldn't want him to. Naruto blushed and ordered the breakfast special, which consisted of sausage, egg, pancakes, bacon, French toast and orange juice. Shikamaru didn't order much because suddenly he didn't have much of an appetite. He got a cup of coffee, toast, and bacon. She winked at Naruto before going off to get their orders filled. HHMM, Shikamaru hummed. What? Naruto asked. Nothing really, Shikamaru replied. He decided unless the blonde did something to really upset him, he wouldn't do anything. You sure you got that? I'm gonna kill someone, look on your face. Naruto asked, starting to get worried that Shikamaru was about to do something bad to someone. Trust me, it's nothing. At least it better be nothing, he said with a reassuring smile. Naruto raised an eyebrow but nodded and decided not to ask any more about it. The waitress came back a minute later. With their drinks, she looked Naruto right his face and asked, Is there anything else I can get you? Shikamaru noticed then that she had her hand on Naruto's thigh and it was ascending. Okay, that's it, this broad's going down, Shikamaru thought. Miss, I want something. Shikamaru called to her. Yes, what is it? She asked, beaming at him. Yeah, I would like you to die. Either that or you can take your damn hands off my husband, Shikamaru said, raising his voice and drawing the attention of many other customers. Oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize, I'm really sorry. She stuttered and ran off to the kitchen. Shika, Naruto said, raising his voice. What? Shikamaru replied. Why did you do that? Naruto asked. Oh, maybe because she was all over you like flies on shit. Shikamaru, ew, that was really gross, said, sarcasm practically dripping from his lips. Yeah, but, Naruto trailed off looking toward the kitchen. HMPH, don't tell me you like having her all over you, Shikamaru said. Naruto turned back to him and laughed. Why not? You do it all the time, he replied. Yeah, but I have the right to. Shikamaru smirked. Naruto just laughed again. When Shikamaru saw that the waitress was coming back and was carrying their food, he got up and sat next to Naruto on his side of the booth. Naruto rolled his eyes but smiled because truthfully a part of Naruto really liked it when Shikamaru was all possessive of him. Here you two go. Enjoy, the blonde beamed. She was obviously trying not to seem as though she wasn't into Naruto. Even Shikamaru saw that she still looked at him with longing. Is that good English? Nope. Oh. Wait, did that even make sense? Oh. Shikamaru gave her a glare that could rival an Uchiha's. She saw this and quickly began to go and take another order from another table. Naruto leaned in and kissed Shikamaru chastely on the cheek. He thought it would do to reassure Shika that he belonged to him. Shikamaru put an arm around Naruto's shoulders protectively before they began eating. When they were done, they paid the bill and left. So Naruto, you still want to shop for the twins while we're out? Shikamaru asked. Yeah, Naruto replied. He seemed a little bit too happy. Shikamaru just smiled as they entered a shop that was usual good for little kid clothes. With the twins at their grandparents' house. Come on grandpa, you're way too slow. Suke taunted her grandfather because he had yet to catch her or her brother. I'll get you kids yet, he yelled in reply. As he came past the tree she had jumped into, she yelled out, now Shikaru. Right, Shikaru replied as he pulled a cord, and their grandfather found himself hanging upside by his legs from a tree. How do you kids always manage to do that? He asked. He laughed and cut the rope with a kunai. He landed on his feet in a very graceful manner. And do you always manage to land so gracefully? Suke asked evenly, though she had a hard time saying gracefully the proper ways. She's so cute. Hey, practice I guess, he answered even though he was blushing a little. Isn't he a little old to be blushing, lol JK. Grandpa, you're so silly, why are blushing? Suke laughed. Shikaru just smiled. Out of nowhere a kunai came rushing through the air at Shikaku, but luckily he dodged in time. His eyes narrowed in the direction that the weapon had come from. He didn't have long to stare before a giant snake came, tried to swallow him whole. Again he dodged. The snake charged again, but this time at the twins, who were standing there shocked and scared to say the least. But the suddenly snake stopped dead in its tracks. The twins looked over to see that their grandfather was performing the Kage main no jutsu. Yago grandpa, now finish it off with your burst bomber. 3, Suke called. Shikaru's sweat dropped and asked, what the hell talking about? Shikaru, watch your mouth, replied Shikaku. Hey wait, what are you two still doing here? Go and get help. Hurry, he yelled. But grandpa, we can't leave you here by yourself. Suke replied. Just go before the jutsu wears off. Shikaku replied. Now. With that said, the two 5-year-olds rushed off to research center that wasn't too far from there. He knew there would be someone there who could help. They got only to find that everyone there was already dead. Suke screamed while Shikaru stood wide-eyed. Then Shikaru saw a flicker off golden snake eyes. The same one that were in his dreams. No, 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 he yelled. Suke by this time had stopped screaming and was now breathing deeply. She could feel her brother's anguish as if it were her own. She grabbed him and rushed off. Behind them they heard evil cackling. Footsteps coming closer and closer until they were face to face with Orochimaru. Dun 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 lol. Leave us alone, you bastard. Suke yelled in his face. Now children, I didn't come here to hurt you. I came here to give you something. Orochimaru said in a very perverted way. Suke listened to him, disgust clearly playing on her face. Shikaru stared, still wide-eyed, almost emotionless. He looked as if were a doll. And just who the hell are you? We don't anything from you, killer. And plus my daddy told never to accept anything from stranger, especially snake-eyed weirdos. Suke replied, yelling even louder. HMPH, you're quite flippant, aren't you, little girl? He asked. Go to hell, Suke retorted. Come with me and I'll give the one thing that matters in this world. Power, he said in a very evil. Power, I'm 5, what the hell do I need with power? She replied. Fine, if you won't come with me willingly, I'll have to take you by force. He said. Oh yeah, let's see you try it. She said. Suke, no, he'll hurt daddy and papa. Shikaru finally spoke up. See, your brother has since listened to him. Orochimaru said. No, we can fight this weirdo. And do you really think he'll be able to? Daddy or papa, they're too strong to lose to an asshole like him. Suke replied. But, Shikaru didn't even finish his sentence before he noticed a kunai coming toward him. He dodged, of course. I guess we have no choice. He called to his sister. Listen, we shouldn't try to actually fight him, we should just try to get daddy and papa. We may be able to fend him off, but I don't think we can beat him, he said to her in some type of twin telepathy thing. Right, she replied. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, she called in a cute squeaky voice. 4 more of her appeared. I see you've been trained by Daddy. Orochimaru laughed. Laugh all you want, Suke replied. Her clones surrounded him. They all whispered, Kage main no jutsu, and all their shadows reached out for Orochimaru's. There were so many he couldn't dodge and he found himself immobile. Kage Kuba Shibari no jutsu, they all called again. And shadow hands reached for his neck. Now Shikaru, she yelled. Right. He did a few hand signs, summoning jutsu. He called and a giant deer appeared towering over the trees of the forest. 4. Hey boss, we need your help, he said to it. I can see that, it replied in a deep voice. Get that jerk, Shikaru replied. Let's get out of here Suke, he said before he and his sister took off. Back with Naruto and Shikamaru. Shikamaru, what's wrong with you lately? Your jealousy is starting to get out of control. Naruto asked. TCH troublesome, he replied. They were walking toward their house with shopping bags in their hands. Then suddenly Shikaru and Suke jumped out at them. Suke ran into Shikamaru's arms while Shikaru ran into Naruto's arms, causing them both to drop the bags they had been carrying. What are you two doing here? You were supposed to be with your grandparents' house. Naruto asked, looking worried. He got even more worried when the two started crying. Grandpa, and a giant snake. Suke barely said. And the scary snake man, Shikaru said through sobs. Naruto and Shikamaru didn't say anything. They would wait until their children calmed down and ask again. They traded similar glances of confusion and worry. Naruto in Shikamaru's lap as carriage sped down the dirt road, their kids sitting on opposite sides of them. They were on their way to the sand, hoping that they would be safe there, at least for anyway. Flashback. I'm sending you and your family away to the sand, Tsunade said simply. What, why? Naruto said very loudly. Because the attacks from Orochimaru keep happening, endangering not only your family but the whole village of Konoha, she said quite seriously. True to what she said, the attacks from Orochimaru hadn't stopped since the day the twins escaped his grasp. That had been nearly 2 weeks ago. Not to mention they still hadn't found Shikaku. Yoshino of course had pretty gone crazy looking for him. Well, how long do you think we'll have to stay there? Shikamaru asked. Until the attack end, obviously. It's apparent who his targets are, and maybe if we relocate them the attacks will end. I know it's not the best solution, but it's all we have planned for now. She explained in response Shikamaru's question. Prepare for departure in 2 days. End flashlight. Hey, who wants to play a game to pass the time? Suke asked suddenly. I guess I'll play. Shikaru responded lazy to his sister's question. Daddy, Papa, do you want to play? Suke asked. No, I'll pass sweetie. Naruto beamed at her even though it was obviously a front. I'll play later, their papa responded unenthusiastically. Okay then. Okay Shikaru, let's play. I spy. She said, bouncing. Gee, aren't we modest? Shikaru said. He and High Sister weren't surprised to the fox demon at all. In fact, they often talked to Kyuubi more than Naruto himself. She also taught them a few things on her free time. Free time? She's trapped in a human, what else could she possibly be busy doing? Lol. Shikaru quiet. Naruto said, explain why I'm pregnant again, he said, turning his attention back to the fox demon. Well, you see, I kinda foresaw the coming of Orochimaru and decided that I needed to do something about. Orochimaru wants to extract my soul for his own purposes. So I split my chakra evenly between Shikaru and Suke. Because without my chakra being attached to my soul he can't extract me. But in doing so I weakened the seal that binds me to you. So pretty soon you won't be trapped anymore. That's great, I finally get rid of you and you can be free. Naruto exclaimed. Unfortunately no, it doesn't work like that. After being confined for so long my soul can no longer sustain a physical form of its own. Meaning now I am dependent upon a vessel or my soul will fade. So you're planning on making our newborn child your new vessel? Shikamaru finished for her. She nodded. So now one of our kids will have you sealed inside of them. I don't know if I can out my child through the same pain I had to endure. Naruto said. But it won't be the same as you. This baby has 2 loving parents and will also have 2 siblings to care for it. As opposed to you who had only Iruka to care for from an early age. So you see, it will be much different from you. I guess you're right, Naruto said, though he was a little apprehensive. With that as the end of the conversation. Everyone got dressed and ate breakfast before setting back on voyage to Sanagakure. So the demon is trying to stop me herself, is she? Orochimaru asked Kabuto as he reported the news. Yes sir, Kabuto said. It matters not, I shall have her power. Now Kabuto entertained, for I am getting bored. He replied. Why is he talking like that? Lol. What the hell is going on here? Naruto yelled, looking down at his now protruding belly. Naruto, do you have to be so loud this early in the morning? Shikamaru asked, not opening his eyes yet. He had been sleeping soundly, as they had been sleeping on a comfortable prepared for them by Gaara the cage himself. He had told them last night when they had arrived. Look at me Shika, Naruto replied really loudly. Arg. Shikamaru groaned as he opened one eye to look at his husband. He blinked once, twice, and then he closed them again, and shrugged as if he didn't care. Why are you just shrugging? I'm as big as a house. Naruto said. You're pregnant Naruto, he said simply. But I haven't been pregnant that long. He replied hysterically. So ask Kyuubi about, she will most likely know what's going on. Now stop bugging me so I can go back to sleep, he suggested as he turned over and tried to fall back asleep. Naruto sighed as he realized that Shikamaru was right, he should ask Kyuubi, besides she was the cause of all this. He took a deep breath and formed a hand sign, concentrating on finding the demon fox somewhere in his mind. Kyuubi, where are you? Asked in the recesses of his mind. I'm here, brat, what do you want? I want to know why I'm that big when I haven't been pregnant that long, he replied, almost fuming. Man, you are such an idiot. Okay, try to follow me. It's a demonic pregnancy, it moves along faster than a normal one. But when I was pregnant with the twins it didn't go by this fast. Naruto said, looking confused. Well, the twins aren't gonna be carrying the demon's soul now, are they? No, I guess not. Naruto replied, looking solemn for a moment or two. Look, don't worry, it won't be long until you deliver. Really, how long will it be? Naruto asked. Oh, I think about a day, 2 days tops. She smirked when she said this, knowing full well that Naruto would totally freak at the news. 1 fucking day, are you serious? What the hell, why didn't you tell me this shit before? We haven't started preparing for the baby and now you're telling me it's coming only a day, 2 tops. Naruto screamed at the demon fox. I thought it would be funny to see you panic and scramble all over the place. Her laughter rang through the empty halls of Naruto's mind. You have a really sick sense of humor. He deadpanned as ended the mental conversation with his occupant. He sighed as he looked over to Shikamaru and lay down on his chest. Shikamaru opened one eye before asking, so what did she say? She said since it's a demon pregnancy that the process is sped up. Naruto grimaced. Sped up by how much? Sped to the point where I'm gonna give birth somewhere in the next couple of days. He sighed, again. Interesting. Meaning later we're gonna have to go scrambling around for baby supplies, great. Shikamaru said, finishing with a sigh. Yeah, she said she didn't tell us because she thought it would be funny. Naruto replied. That sounds just like her. Shikamaru said with a bitter laugh. Well, for now let's get some sleep. Naruto yawned. Later on that day, Naruto is now sitting in the doctor's office waiting for certain test results. Shikamaru was sitting beside him. They had been sitting there for a while and Shikamaru was starting to get sleepy, so sleepy in fact that he now was leaning his head on Naruto's shoulder and beginning to doze off. As the doctor came back into the office, Naruto silently nudged Shikamaru in the arm. Well, doctor? Naruto asked uncertainly. Your child is healthy, but it is a bit unusual. The doctor looked as if he were at a loss for words. Apparently this situation was a lot more awkward than he had first led on. Unusual, how so? Naruto asked. Well, it seems that your child is bearing 2 chakra signatures. He explained, waiting for a totally different reaction than he had gotten. In reply he got a simple shrug from Shikamaru and an annoyed look from Naruto. I thought he was going to tell us something we didn't already. Shikamaru said flatly. Shikamaru, don't be rude, his husband chided. Well, he basically just wasted about 3 hours of our time on this, and we still have a lot of preparation to do today. Shikamaru replied, starting to get annoyed with this situation. Naruto sighed and asked, doctor, is there anything else you want to tell us before my husband goes off the deep end? Well, I can tell thee of the baby, he said in response, beaming that he could have some useful information. And? Shikamaru asked. It's a boy, the physician said. Yay, did ya hear Shika, we're having a boy. Naruto said. Naruto, you're acting like we don't already have a boy. Shikamaru's sweat dropped. Yeah, but now we'll have 2. He said, beaming in glee. Shikamaru just shook his head and smiled back. Well, see ya, doctor. Bye Nara-san and, Nara-san, he said unsure. As they exited the office they immediately started for the nearest clothing store. They had agreed earlier to go shopping for the baby but the doctor visit set them back a lot so now they have even less time to get provisions. And that's basically how they spent the entire evening, shopping. Occasionally they'd have an argument about what they should and shouldn't buy but then Naruto would use his awesome powers as an uke to get Shikamaru to see it his way. LMAO. In the end they had ended up with all the baby basics, crib, clothes, bottles, pampers, etc. How were they paying for this, you might ask? Well, they were getting funding from the Cage and Hokage. Shikamaru had wanted to be modest in their purchases but Naruto's attitude was, if you got it, flaunt it, or in this case spend it. Besides, as soon as they could go on missions again they going to lose their funding, so why not engorge a little? Naruto sighed and flopped down on the bed as he was tired beyond belief, as if the shopping hadn't been tiring enough. The twins, after spending the day with Gaara and company, had missed their parents and demanded to be played with. God, we need to get a leash for those two, he breathed out. Shikamaru laughed and sat down next to him. Yeah, well, remind me to get one of those next time we hit the store, he said sarcastically. Naruto leaned against Shika's chest and mumbled, Shika, do you really think we'll be able to handle another one? I think we'll do fine, Naruto, he replied, kissing his forehead. And what about the Orochimaru attacks? What if he tries something here in the sand? Naruto asked, fear and apprehension lacing his words. Don't worry Naruto, no matter what happens, in the end we will be okay. I promise not to let anything happen to you or our children, he said while pulling Naruto closer. With that said the two fell asleep in each other's arms. Next day, the whole Nara family had been at the hospital. Since Naruto was due anytime now he was asked to come to the hospital to prepare. Now they sat around Naruto on his hospital bed doing normal family things. Suke aspiring to annoy her brother while Naruto and Shikamaru tried their best to not lose patience with them. Everything was fine until Naruto suddenly felt a sharp pain. Seeing his face contorted in pain, Shikamaru asked, Naruto? Get the doctor. I think it's time, he said, face still twisted with pain. The twins ran out with their papa, not quite sure what else to do. Doctor, my husband, he's going into labor, he said to the person he recognized as Naruto's doctor. Okay, I'll be right there, the physician replied, yelling to a random nurse while walking to Naruto's hospital room. Shikaru, Suke, you go with Uncle Gaara, alright? Wait in the waiting room, k? Shikamaru smiled down at his children as he saw Gaara coming toward them conveniently. Okay papa, they both replied at the same time. Turning to go back to his husband's side, he was stopped when he suddenly heard explosions and screams coming from where he had just sent his children. Turning around he ran toward the waiting room where he could clearly see the head of a giant snake piercing the wall as it tried to attack Gaara and his twins. Shikamaru, Gaara screamed, go check on Naruto. This whole thing was a fucking setup. But what about you and the twins, Gaara? Shikamaru asked. He couldn't think under such harsh conditions. We'll be fine, I can handle this thing, Gaara said, sand emerging from his gourd. With one last unsure look crossing his face he ran as quickly as he could to his lover's room. From the other side of the door he heard the crying of a baby. Bursting through, he yelled, Naruto. For 1 second he stood completely shocked as he saw the form of Kabuto holding his newborn baby along with Naruto's neck. Shikamaru? Naruto managed before his consciousness slipped away and darkness flooded his vision. You bastard, let them go, Shikamaru yelled and charged for the man, but it was too late, they vanished into a puff of smoke. 3 words, that's all that was running through Shikamaru's head at the moment. Where is he thought. That's all he could think ever since he had started looking for his blonde lover. He couldn't think of how his kids continued to cry over their missing father. He couldn't think of all the people telling him that everything would be alright. None of it, because the truth of the matter is that nothing would be alright anymore, not without his Naruto. Damn it, where is he? He breathed aloud as he was currently searching the woods where various ninja had said they'd last seen Orochimaru's men. We'll find him, he heard Iruka say from behind him. When news spread that Naruto had been missing, Iruka and Kakashi and anyone else who really cared about Naruto had immediately put together a search party. They searched for any sign or clue that would lead them to Naruto and the newborn. He had been missing almost 2 days. That may not seem long, but with Orochimaru it might as well be an eternity. Yeah, I know we will. Even if it kills me, I'll find Naruto and my child at any cost. Shikamaru said more to himself than anyone else. Hey Shikamaru, Kakashi and I are going to try a different direction. Iruka called as he and Kakashi have in the opposite direction. In minutes they were far away from Shikamaru and the rest of his team. Naruto, the most energetic ninja in all of Konoha, was all but energetic at the moment. He shivered as a breeze wafted in through the window of his dirty, cold, and all-around horrible prison. It was room with one bed, a mirror and toilet that he wouldn't even let a dog use. Naruto cradled his child closer to him. He'd be damned if he let Kabuto ever touch him again. Shortly after he had awakened in the lair of Orochimaru, he opened his eyes to see that Kabuto was holding his newborn son. To put it shortly, he snapped. He had charge at the silver-haired man. Even without the power of the Kyuubi at his side, he was formidable when riled up by anger. It had taken more than Kabuto to sedate Naruto and lock him in the cell with the baby. Now he stared at the mirror in front of him, studying his face, which no longer sported the whisker marks that Shikamaru thought so cute. Instead, they had been transferred to his son, who, even though was a newborn, hardly ever cried. He always just watched his father with big blue eyes he'd inherited from Naruto. Naruto looked down at him and ran a hand over the blonde-streaked brunette locks. He let a small smile cross his features as the hair reminded him of Shikamaru, who he was sure was looking for him even now. I know he'll come. I won't die here, neither will you, K. He said as he had just thought up a name for his son. Being too distracted to do so before, he brought the still quiet baby closer to him and kissed his forehead. He sighed before he said, I love you, little one. Remember that. I'm sure Shikamaru does too, even though he hasn't met you yet. Kei reached up and touched Naruto's face with a look as if asking who Shikamaru was. That's your other father, and I wish he'd hurry up and find me. I miss him and Suke and Shikaru. I miss them all. Kei made a noise again, asking for more information. At least that's what it seemed like to Naruto, so he said softly, they're your brother and sister. They're 5 years older than you. He trailed off. Aw, isn't that cute? A voice he loathed with all his soul drawled out snidely. Get the fuck away from me, Naruto said, ducking his head to hide his eyes. And what will you do if I don't? Kabuto questioned, walking cautiously forward. Naruto held up his hand, gathering chakra in the appendage to form a Rasengan. You really don't want to find out? He said in a diffused voice. Hatred laced each of his words perfectly, doing their job in warding off Kabuto, or at least detour him. You know Lord Orochimaru will have the power of the Kyuubi and soon, Kabuto said before he walked back out the door. Right before leaving he added, and there's not a damn thing anyone can do about it. And with that he slammed the door shut. Naruto shuddered as silently tears made their way down his cheeks to land on the soft blanket Kei was currently bundled up in. I hate this. Why me, damn it? Naruto asked quietly as his hands clenched into tight fist, nails digging into the palm of him, hand drawing blood. Shika, where are you? And with his felt himself begin to drift into unconsciousness. Kei, the ever-silent baby, slowly slid his eyelids shut. Kabuto smirked through the window on the doors to Naruto's prison. He was pleased when his jutsu began to take effect. Orochimaru stood behind him waiting. HMPH won't be long now, Orochimaru-sama. Good work, Kabuto, he muttered with a sinister tone. He ran a pale hand under Kabuto's shirt to leave the young man a little more than aroused. Thank you, sir, Kabuto said as he ended his jutsu and went back into the room. Shikamaru, Kiba called frantically. Get over here, he called again, this time not as loud. Shikamaru turned and headed in the direction Kiba was. When he found Kiba, he was sniffing the air confidently. Did you find something, Kiba? Shikamaru asked in a very hopeful tone. Yeah, I can smell Naruto. That subtle mix of human and fox scents, it's gotta be him. Kiba said, smiling over to his friend. Can you follow it to Naruto? Shikamaru replied. That was a stupid question, Shika. Kiba said as he took off and Shikamaru tailed him. Seeing the two, the rest of their search party, which was consisted of Neji, Choji, Shino, and Lee, soon followed suit. They hopped from tree to tree, rapidly. Shikamaru could feel the tingle enthusiasm run up his spine as thought he might actually finally find Naruto. Hold on, Naruto, I'll be there soon. They traveled for about an hour more before Kiba suddenly stopped. He's here, Kiba said with a mirthful smile on his face. Kiba, how can he be here? There's nothing here. Shikamaru sighed. Shikamaru, are you the genius everyone says you are? You're a ninja, right? Look with all your senses, not just your eyes. Kiba said, confident that his best friend was being held captive here. He's right, Shikamaru. Naruto's here, I can see it. Neji said, his Byakugan blazing to life. He could a large building staring them right in the face. Orochimaru's compound is right in front of us, Shikamaru. Neji paused, focusing his Byakugan even further. He could make many figures hidden in the compound, but the ones he was most interested in were the ones he was sure to be Orochimaru, Kabuto, and Naruto along with the new baby. What do we do now, Shikamaru? Choji asked. I don't know, we can't just rush in there, we'll most likely be outnumbered, he said before he crouched down into his thinking stance. The others sat back and watched as Shikamaru's eyebrow twitched thoughtfully. Shikamaru, you have to make a decision quick. Orochimaru and Kabuto are taking Naruto somewhere and I don't think he's conscious. Neji trailed off, seeing the dread on Shikamaru's face. Fine, we go in and get Naruto at all cost, and no matter what we stick together, we have a better chance that way. Shikamaru sighed, realizing that it wasn't the best plan he could have come up with, but given the circumstances he had no choice. He made a couple of hand seals and 2 Shikamaru clones appeared. He quickly ordered them to report Tsunade and Gaara at once, and with that the 2 clones took off in opposite directions. Neji, do you see an entrance? Shikamaru asked moments later. Yeah too, but I think we'll be better off going the south entrance since Orochimaru seemed to be heading north. We can sneak up on him that way, Neji said, answering Shikamaru's question. Alright then, Kiba. Neji, lead the way, Shikamaru said right before the 2 said young men took off into the invisible fortress. Hakufu. 1. Suke called loudly, addressing Gaara. Yes, Mei, 2. Gaara replied calmly. Suke had been talking non-stop since Shikamaru had left to search for Naruto. Now Gaara loved Suke, but there's so much one person can take. Do you think Papa will be able to find Daddy? Suke said, a little sadness playing in her voice. Gaara was surprised the subtly mundane tone she had said that in. Suke was usually like Naruto when it came to her own sadness, always hiding it away and putting up the front that she hardly knew what the emotion sadness was. Gaara had guessed that was because she was usually the one trying to comfort Shikamaru, who had no problem letting someone know something upset him. Gaara gently patted her head and said, yeah, I'm sure he will. Gaara took a moment to contemplate when he had gotten so far, but soon let that thought slip away as Suke gripped his leg, sobbed heavily into his pant leg. He gingerly picked the young girl up and embraced her in a hug. Looking to his desk full of paperwork, he decided he could take a day off. He absently gazed over to a window that was open. He narrowed his eyes, noticing that there was something or someone coming straight toward the open window. He mentally put his game but quickly lowered it as he noticed who it was. Shikamaru. Shikamaru landed right outside the window and climbed in. Cage-Sama, I found Naruto in the land of Earth. My team and I are heading into Orochimaru's hideout as we speak. You may need to send back up. Gaara sighed as the clone of Shikamaru quickly disperse. Papa found him, Hakufu. Suke exclaimed, tears just now starting to subside. Yeah? Gaara replied, smiling slightly. But on the inside he grimaced, knowing that something bad was going to happen. Even if Shikamaru and the others managed to infiltrate Orochimaru's compound, he wasn't going to release Naruto and the new Kyuubi bearer until he was buried. Damn it, he muttered softly. Hakufu, don't swear, Suke admonished. Sorry Mei, why don't you go tell your brother the good news? Gaara said, hoping she would so he could some business done. Great idea, Hakufu, she said as she jumped out of the cage's arms and made a mad dash down the hall. Gaara sighed and called to the Anbu he knew were guarding his office. Though I'm not really sure why. Tsunade-sama, you can't leave at a time like this. Shizune reprimanded her mentor. Just why the hell not? Tsunade's face turned red in anger as she held back her true feeling of wanting to cry. Because the village of Konoha has gone to hell in the last few weeks, we can't afford to have Hokage up and leave. The people will start to riot or worse. Shizune raised her voice slightly to get her point across. Tsunade sighed as she realized that her pupil was right. Damn it, Naruto, where the hell are you? She muttered sadly. It was then that a clone of Shikamaru had appeared. Tsunade, I found Naruto and my team and I are going into Orochimaru's hideout to retrieve him. The clone spoke and Tsunade visibly broke when she heard the words. She immediately let her relief show. Good, anything else? She said, trying to hold back the tears she knew were coming. Naruto had been found and she might get to see him again. I'm so happy. If I had lost him. Yes, I request backup A.S.A.P. The clone said before it burst into a puff of smoke. Shizune summon the Anbu. She said quietly, thought loud enough where Shizune could hear it. He's kinda cute when he's asleep. Orochimaru said as he leered at the young man strapped to the table. A pale hand reached up to stroke Naruto's tanned cheek, but when he did he was surprised to see the boy's eyes snap open to bite his clammy hand. You little bastard, you're a feisty one, aren't you? Orochimaru said as he backhanded the boy. Son of a bitch. Naruto said, or at least tried to, but when he attempted to utter the words nothing came out. Oh yes, I forgot to mention that I took away your for voice the moment. Orochimaru smirked. See, I put it in that bottle over there. I can't have you screaming and yelling, drawing attention to this room. Your little husband, the Nara, has already entered the building and is making his way here as we speak. Naruto's eyes widened at this. Shikamaru's here. I knew he would come. I'll be outta here soon, thank God. Naruto thought. But before he gets here there is something that I want you to do for me. Orochimaru said as his seemed to glow in the dimly lit room. Naruto shuddered from the disgusting glint of lust in his eye. Where's my baby? Naruto mouthed, even though he knew the bastard wouldn't hear him. Even though Orochimaru didn't hear him, he knew what he had tried to say, and at this he smirked. Your little brat is over there, he said as he nodded in a seemingly random direction. And from a corner Naruto saw Kabuto emerge with his son in his glove-clad arms. You fucking asshole, let him go before you what, Naruto-kun, your chakra reserves have been sealed off for now and won't be much help to you anymore. Naruto gasped at this. What the hell do you want from me? He frantically asked, since the two seemed to be good at reading lips. I don't really want anything from you, except that little body of yours. Orochimaru muttered, dangerously too close, as Naruto once again bit him, but this time on the nose. This time Orochimaru said nothing as he flicked Naruto on the head rather hard, much like when Naruto had first met Jiraiya. There was already a bruise forming on his forehead. Orochimaru proceeded to deliver a few good blows to Naruto's midsection. Naruto cried out in pain, or at least he tried to. You know, for this to be Orochimaru's hideout, the security here kinda sucks. Kiba said aloud. They had all been thinking something similar, but leave it to Kiba to blurt out whatever was on his mind. Yeah, he has a point, we have yet to come across one guard or sentry or anything. What the hell is going on? Neji said. It's a trap obviously, but since we know it's a trap we can't be surprised by the enemy, stay alert and we should be fine. Shikamaru said to his teammates. Neji, Kiba, which way? He asked as they came to a fork in the hallway. Left, they said in unison. Naruto, you better be alive when I get there. Shikamaru thought solemnly. As they took the left, Shikamaru caught a whiff of something he didn't like, gunpowder. Kiba was the first to say, wait, there's explosive hidden in this hallway. Neji looked about, agreeing with Kiba once he saw them. I can see them. I think if we avoid them we'll be okay. You guys follow me and don't peer off the path or you might end up missing a limb. Neji smirked, though it seemed uncalled for in the current situation, but he was just happy his skills were actually being used. He took off at an ungodly speed that the rest of the team blinked at before following him swiftly. Jumps, turns, and leaps were made to avoid the impending explosion that would come to perdition if they made a mistake. Being the meticulous person he was, Shikamaru easily avoided making a mistake. The explosives are coming to an end, Neji called from ahead. Good. Neji, is Naruto close? Shikamaru said. Yes, Shikamaru, he's really close. But promise me something before we get there. Neji said from ahead, voice taking on an even more serious tone than before. Yeah, what is it? He asked, wondering what Neji could be thinking at a time like this. Neji stopped. Obviously there were no more explosives up ahead. When we find Naruto, promise you won't let your emotions take over. He said, pale eyes holding a seriousness that put a lump in Shikamaru's throat. Okay, Shikamaru uttered softly. One more thing, promise me that you will get Naruto out of here no matter what. Neji said. Again with a meek small voice Shikamaru replied, I promise. Okay then, let's go guys. Kiba said. Naruto's flushed face was getting redder by the minute, but not because of the UAL ministrations that Orochimaru was inducing upon him. His face was turning red from anger at the young man with the silver hair as he put his baby on a table and had drawn blood on the baby's middle. He had drawn a reverse seal on the infant's stomach, opposite to the one the Yondaime had used to seal the demon fox within Naruto. The preparations have been made, Orochimaru-sama, you just need to invoke the jutsu to draw the Kyuubi out. Kabuto whispered with a dark simper intended for Naruto. The Nara shall be here soon. Shall we wait to make him watch the death of his son as well, Orochimaru-sama? Kabuto suggested. Excellent idea, Kabuto. The snake Sannin said as his long tongue made a wet, slimy trail up Naruto's neck to make him shiver from disgust. Kankuro, I'm sending you as cavalry to Shikamaru's team. Take Temari as well. Gaara said, eyes slightly unfocused while talking to his brother. He was hoping Shikamaru could make it in time. He quickly told him the coordinates of the secret compound. Yes, Gaara, Kankuro said as he vanished from Gaara's sight off to find his sister. She was in her room staring off in the direction of the land of Earth. She knew because she had had various missions there. Temari, they found Naruto and Gaara wants us to go back up Shikamaru's team. Temari let a slight smile adorn her features as it had been a while she had gotten a mission worthy of her skills, but now she was going to get to kick sound ass. She couldn't help it when she remembered saving Shikamaru from Tayuya. This situation seemed familiar for some reason. Okay, let's go, Kankuro. She said, her voice low to hide the slight excitement in it. With that, the two Sand siblings rushed out of Temari's window heading fast for the land of Earth. Kakashi and Iruka had joined up with Guy and Kurenai and all were heading straight for where they were told Orochimaru's hideout was. They raced there hoping to get there on time. Damn it, we have to move faster. Iruka yelled as he became frustrated. Wait, let's try Sakura's technique, focus chakra in your feet and run like hell. Kakashi said as he took off at an immeasurable speed. Iruka and the others followed his example and blasted off after him. Neji stopped at a dark, almost impossible to see door. They're right through here, I can see them. Shikamaru nodded and said, well, it's now or never. His eyes blazed to life with a hatred that he seldom felt for others. Kiba, if you would do the honors. Shikamaru stepped aside as he saw Kiba crouch in the dim light of the corridor they were standing. My pleasure, he jumped spinning as he performed his Gatsuga. The wall easily crumbled before him. The first thing Shikamaru saw through the haze of dust and debris was the shockingly blonde crown of Naruto's hair. It was dirty and had a few traces of blood in it. Naruto, he yelled immediately. Naruto soundlessly mouthed his words of relief and happiness at seeing his husband standing at the cavernous hole Kiba had left in the wall. What did you do to Naruto? He yelled as he soon noticed the snake Sannin was laughing at Naruto. Nothing, I just shut him up for a little while. Orochimaru said snidely, running a white fingertip down Naruto's chin. He grimaced when Naruto spit in his face. Orochimaru wiped it off with disinterest as he turned his attention back to the angry Nara. You're just in time to witness the death of your son and husband. How does that make you feel, Nara? Shikamaru, he whispered coldly. I'll tell you what it makes me feel. Pissed the hell off. Kiba replied before he lunged at the old snake man. Orochimaru easily dodged his pathetic anger-ridden move. Damn you, Kiba cursed. Orochimaru chuckled softly at this, causing chills to go down everyone save for Kabuto's spine. Shikamaru, I'm going to go after Kabuto. Shino's going to distract Orochimaru with his bugs. You focus on getting Naruto free, you got it? Neji said. Gotcha, what about Kiba? He replied. Let him do what he does best, be annoying. Neji smiled lightly, though it was out of place at the moment. Choji and I will bring up the rear. Lee said, also whispering but a little too excited. Okay then, let's go. Shikamaru took off, heading toward where Kiba was throwing wild clawed punches at the yellow-eyed man. Normally his opponent would have been down and out by now, but this was no ordinary ninja. This was one of the three legendary ninja. Your attacks mean nothing, he alleged, but was caught off guard when he felt a something crawling up his skin. He turned to see the Aburame was sending his insects to swarm his body. Damn it, he muttered. As he said this, he didn't notice when an all-too-hyper Lee appeared behind him and at lightning speed proceeded to kick him in the back of the head. He stuttered, slightly fazed by the surprise attack. He picked up his balance and wiped the blood from the back of his head. He formed a few hand signs and, summoning technique, he said with an eerie excitement. Out of nowhere appeared the 5 of giant snakes he was known for summoning. Kuso. Shikamaru swore, trying almost fruitlessly to untie his blonde. Did you think it would be easy? Kabuto asked rhetorically. Shikamaru glared at the silver-haired youth before he finally managed to untie Naruto. As soon as Naruto was untied, he clamped onto Shikamaru. We will have the Kyuubi's power, he said, alight with a dark knowledge of the future. Naruto snapped, then rushing forward with the intent to kill Kabuto. Die, you bastard! He tried to yell as he reached Kabuto, but was suddenly knocked back when Neji got in his way and pushed him back to Shikamaru. Naruto, don't be stupid, Neji said as he stalked toward Kabuto, Byakugan, a pale intensity in his eye. Choji padded up beside him. He smirked toward Choji as he took up a fighting pose. They both charged the silver-haired man at the blink of an eye. Naruto, while come on, Shikamaru said, rushing to the table where their child laid still crying. Naruto picked him up and looked at the battle ensuing before him. Kabuto was barely holding his own against Neji and Choji. Kiba, Shino and Lee continued to deliver an onslaught of attack upon Orochimaru while dodging the fang of the giant snake overhead. Kuso, this is getting out of hand, Shikamaru swore. Naruto walked over to the wall that held the bottle with his trapped voice. He couldn't tell which was which since there were many bottles, so he just broke them all. Shikamaru? Naruto was able to say. A wash of relief came over him. What are we going to do? He said as he rejoined the black-haired ninja. Get you and the kid out of here, Shikamaru said, grabbing the blonde's hand and started hauling ass. Shika, we can't leave our friends, Naruto said right before they reached the big hole where a door once was. Naruto, we have to get you two to safety, our friends will be fine, Shikamaru admonished. Will they? A dark unfamiliar voice asked from nowhere. What the hell? Naruto whispered, looking about for another enemy. Out from the vague shadows of the dimly hallway came enemy ninja, obviously Orochimaru's henchman. Fuck, why can't anything ever be easy? Shikamaru asked, to no one in particular. Sweat broke out on Shikamaru's forehead as he took guard over his family. The opponent surrounded them. Shit, there's no way I hold them all off, he thought grimly. The one that had talked dashed toward them. Damn it, he's fast, Shikamaru thought. But as he made his way toward the family, so did another ninja. He was upon them now, gripping a kunai and ready to kill. He drew back, he found he couldn't move. Shikamaru and Naruto blinked. Shika, what's going on? Naruto said. Kage main no jutsu, but whose was it? Shikamaru's eyes widened when he saw that the enemy's shadow was being bound by, Dad? Yep, Shikaku replied, beaming at the family. What? How the hell did you get here? Shikamaru asked, clearly shocked. Well, when they sent that snake after me and the kids, I beat the snake. But then more ninja came to try and finish me off. I took care of them and decided to take the identity of one of them. I knew if I stayed undercover I would be able to help somehow, Shikaku explained. Shikamaru nodded and took a swallow. Thanks, he muttered to his father, glad that he wasn't actually dead like most people had assumed. They looked behind them as they heard a guttural moan escape the lips of Kabuto. He fell to the ground, a pool of his blood leaking from stomach. They also noticed that the Junin had made and were fending off the serpents. Kiba and Shino were still attacking Orochimaru, but Lee had been knocked out cold. They felt cold wind and turning of gears as Kankuro and Temari arrived and initiated a battle with the henchmen that had surrounded them. Shikamaru, get out of here, Shikaku yelled, dodging a stray while fighting the henchmen. Shikamaru solemnly nodded. He didn't want to leave, but what choice he have? He scooped up Naruto and started down the hall. Oh no, you're not getting away that easy. How cliché was that? Lol, Orochimaru muttered. He blocked Kiba's next attack and sped off after the family. Neji, Shino and Kiba following in close pursuit. He caught up with them in matter of moments. He swung violently at Naruto. Naruto was barely able to block. Still holding the crying child, he blocked and dodged the barrage of attacks. Orochimaru found himself immobile and cursed as he saw that he was being bound by a Kage main no jutsu. Shikamaru smirked as he saw Kiba and company approach. He let go of the jutsu right before Neji started delivering chakra sealing blows to the seals the snake man's body. He couldn't move, and with Kiba sent a clawed hand through his chest. He collapsed to the ground. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief and exhaustion. Down the hall the giant snake had poofed away and the henchmen's bodies littered the floor. It's over, let's go, Shikamaru said. As they began to walk away, they heard Orochimaru mutter something under his breath. Die, he yelled. Out of sheer force of will he summoned enough chakra to bring forth that infamous serpent sword. It lunged out of his mouth and straight toward Naruto. Ocean blue eyes widened as Naruto thought he was done. He pinched his eyes closed as he waited for the impending pain. Instead he heard a ragged cry of pain from Neji. He opened his eyes to see that Neji had taken the blow for him. The sword pierced straight through him. No! Kankuro rushed forward as Neji wobbled to the ground. Kankuro, fuck, no you can't die on me. Kankuro yelled in reply. Well rushed you to Tsunade-sama, she'll be able to fix you no problem. Kankuro, tears flowing easily down his face. Neji shook his head no. Tears welled and he said, Naruto, take care of yourself and stop being stupid. Naruto looked away from Neji and sobbed into Shikamaru's shirt. Kankuro, I love you but I'm not going to live through this. Neji said. His blood was coursing out of him, creating a crimson pool. No damn it, no. Kankuro, he yelled as Neji closed his eyes forever. Everyone wept, sobbed, or muttered a silent prayer their fallen teammate, comrade, friend. 10 years later, Shikamaru sighed softly and scratched his stubbly face. He could smell the aroma of food coming from the kitchen into the living room he was currently sitting in. He could hear Naruto silently humming as chopped up some vegetable. It was quiet in the house other than that. He closed his eyes and cherished a moment of silence and peace. At least he tried to when the door to his house was slammed open and he heard his 15-year-old daughter yell. I can't believe you, Shikaru. It wasn't my fault, Shikaru retorted. What do you mean? You kissed him. She yelled back, clearly angry and upset. He kissed me. I don't even like him all that much, and his kissing could a little work. Shikaru explained but then quickly regretted it when his twin gave him a nasty glare. You didn't exactly fight him off. She replied. Okay, enough yelling, sit down and tell me what happened. Naruto said, coming into the living room from the kitchen. Suke sat down in the armchair far away from the couch Shikaru had chosen to sit in. Daddy, you know Yamanaka Inochi? Suke said to Naruto as he sat down on Shikamaru's lap. Ino and Choji's boy, yeah, so what about him? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. Ino had gotten pregnant by Choji, who was now her husband, shortly after Naruto had gotten pregnant. They opted to keep it a secret for a while, hiding her growing stomach with a simple transformation jutsu. Well, I have this like huge crush on him cause he's so hot, but today I came back from a simple and found him and Shikaru kissing. She rolled her eyes and glared at her brother. I told you I don't like him. I like Kino, he's way hotter. Shikaru said. Aburame Inuzuka Kino is Shino and Kiba's son. Apparently Kiba had gotten jealous Shikamaru and Naruto. He researched a forbidden on how to get men pregnant and the result Kino. You like Kiba's son? Shikamaru finally added to the conversation. Shikaru blushed and nodded slightly. So you don't like Inochi? Suke asked. Shikaru shook his head negatively. Okay then, she sighed, sincerely happy. I'm home. Came the voice of Kei. Naruto and Shikamaru's youngest child, was now 10 years old. How was your day? Naruto asked, smiling and ruffling the boy's blonde streaked hair when he came to stand close to him. It was okay, we learned a few jutsu but that was about it. He said, straightening his headband. He sniffed the air. Hey, who's cooking? He asked. I am, Naruto said proudly. Everyone's face turned sour as they rushed to their rooms and slammed the door, faking to be sick. Does my cooking really suck that bad? Naruto sighed, leaning into Shikamaru. Yeah, it does. He replied bluntly. Shika, you're so mean, he pouted. But at least you're really good in the bed. Shikamaru quickly added. Oh really, well thanks. Naruto smiled before he kissed Shikamaru passionately. After they broke apart he uttered, I love you, Shikamaru. I love you too, Naruto. Shikamaru said, getting lost in Naruto's eyes. I also love our weird excuse for teenage kids. Naruto laughed. Well, of course they're gonna be weird, they're the children of shadows and foxes. Shikamaru said wistfully. Naruto punched him lightly in the arm before leaning back into him. Naruto smiled when he cozily fell asleep. That's all for now. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments.